And so what I learned about Central Asia is hardly even about Central Asia. It's about the human race. And so that's why I travel to these places, so I can come back with a story that sounds like some prismatic, weird non sequitur, some ricochet off where I've been. Like, what did India teach me the times I've been there? That humanity is beautiful even when it's dipped in its own fecal matter. When you see a body on a funeral pyre on fire, you watch it for like an hour to watch some old dude burn, which I've done a few times. You just go, well, it's just life. It's just death. Nothing to trip on. Because the family's watching Grandpa burn. They're not crying. They're not tripping. They'll see him later. They'll see him in another life. They're not even sweating it. As a Western, you're like, that guy's on fire. Damn. They're looking at you like, tourist.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's just life. And this is the wisdom of travel. Because you can't get this from a documentary. Because you can't smell it. You can't get it from a book. Because you're not walking over it. My first day in India, I saw 9 dead people.
Welcome to Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank. I'm Ari Shaffir. My final hours in Scandinavia. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm, Sweden. What a wonderful time I had. Great final show. Great. This cool old theater. So cool with those red velvet seats. Oh, yeah. It looked like a place where they have a showing of King Kong. No, not the movie. I mean, like, they'd wheel him up there. It'd be a place like that. Not as big, maybe not like, maybe like Prince Kong. Stupid. But they'd have something like that there, some freak show. But like a big show, not like one of those, carnival where you just go in tent to tent, pay your nickel and go in and go like laugh face to face at a guy who's most likely just a fucking glued on beard. No, I mean like a show, a freak show. King Kong, but smaller. One of those theaters. Fucking cool. 3 layers, 3 levels. You're safest on the top level from a rampaging King Kong, right? That's what you think. Till he gets to climbing. That's their natural instincts with him. Climb. Where does that take you? Yeah, 3rd row. Yeah, all over you guys. 2nd row's where it's at. 2nd row's where it's at. He's going to climb over you. You got to think he's going to climb up there. So if you're in the first few rows of that 2nd level, that 2nd tier, you might be in danger, absolutely. But he's going further up. He's going to the top. So unless you're inside the fingerprint range, like zone, and I would think that means either he's going to go outsides, or do they go straight up and down in the middle? I think they might go straight up and down in the middle. So if you're in the corners in the front row, that's a good seat. That's a real good seat. You'll see people die. You'll see somebody like crumple and just their left side just shoulder down, but shoulder like down to like waist. So it's like right where your dick width, just inside the dick, straight down. That just breaks apart on a man. And you see him like not quite get it, know something's wrong. He's only half now, but it's like the shock won't let him fully get it, So he's like, yeah, and then the blood loss starts catching up to him. So now he's not gonna get it. He might never get it. He might go out with his final moments just being just confusion. That's not the way you want to go out. That's not the hero's exit. Just confusion. And you look at that from your front row seats. You look at that and you're like, now I know what that's like to see. So anyway, so he's going past you. He's going up. Now there is a danger if those tiers can't hold him, the Kong. If they're not strong enough for him and he gets up one level, but then just brings that thing down. Then he doesn't get to the third level. Whole second level's dead. I mean, dead? You go up from one flight up. I mean, you got to think you're not going straight down, right? It's not like a trap door opens up. I mean, he's bringing the balcony down too. So there's got to be some bouncage. Unless he pulls it out, like behind him, you know, on the fall, he's probably shoving it a little forward into the retaining wall that was holding up the balcony. And that'd slow it down some. You jostle, though. The jostle might really hurt you if you're on one of those levels. But anyway, you'd probably be gone. You'd probably be gone. Because plus then now you're on the bottom of it. Oh, and the people right below that, the people below the overhang, they're all gone. In the case of a fucking tier 2 teardown, the bottom level underneath that tier 2, that's all collateral. That's all statistics. Instantly. You can't get a balcony fall on you and be okay. There's not even a little bit of, oh, maybe he's okay. No, I mean, the guys on the outside, like just under, they might get a shoulder tear. I bet one guy would just get like it would yank his jacket down a little on the way down. He'd be like, what the fuck? Or like the wind would get him. Or he would feel like a ghost touch. Just that it barely missed him. I mean, he'll have a story to tell that people aren't going to believe. I could feel the touch. Just on my hair. It grazed my hair. There was a nail that I still feel like you can see a scratch. The nail scratched me ever so light on the way down. I could feel the Kong's breath. He was mighty. He knew the end was coming for him. He was scared, but also he was graceful. Is majestic a word I can use here? I think that's what I would use. Majestic. And he turned. He let me live. He could have easily. No, see, this part he's lying. He's lying in this part. What really happened, though, was the thing barely did miss him. The nail might have happened where it scratched him, although that would have drawn some blood. So he's got a little scar, but it's cool. Scar on your arm, that's cool. Don't cut yourself, kids, but it does look cool. So that'd be down, and then he'd rampage around the second. Do you think he'd try for the third level again? No. The Kong, I'm imagining, couldn't get up the third level. He would have to go second to third. So in that instance, third, you'd be great. And front row of third could look straight down. They could see the blood splatter probably of the bottom level with the balcony falling on them. They could see the blood flow when it's like when the juicer happens. I call it a juicerification of the bottom level. Yeah, they'd be fine. They'd be able to see it really. And the guys behind them would be like, what? And you'd be like, oh, what? What happened down there? What was the crash? Oh, I was going to pay for loge tickets, but I got balcony instead. What happened, though? What went down there? I heard the crash. What was it? I mean, I was going to do that, man. I was signed up to pay for those. Pay for what? Why are you talking about that? What's going on? What was that crash? What was the crash? Ticketmaster locked me out. I was going to do it. I went to the other site to see this view from the seats. And then when I went back, it still said I had 2 minutes left. It was counting down. 157, 156. So I went, yeah, it's purchased, buy the tickets. And Ticketmaster said, no, you got to start over. I went back in there. You don't get the tickets again. What tickets? What's happening down there? Is someone hurt? Did someone get hurt? Where's the Kong now? Where's the Kong? Mikey, where's the Kong? But by the time I got back in the system, it wouldn't let me get those same tickets. So we got balcony instead of loge. Would have been right back there. I could see by the back, so I can go to the bathroom a lot. But balcony does have a bathroom too, right? It's less people when you think about it. So, yeah, that'd be the instance of the balcony going down. Or you could just kind of run through and then go through out the back doors. Then you just get some people on the bottom level. Bottom level's in a lot of trouble unless he makes it to the top. Unless he's getting to the top level, that bottom level's really taking the brunt of the damage. And honestly, he's still got to get to the back of the room to get to the levels, even if the levels hold up for him. Balcony 2, balcony 3, even if those hold up for him, he's still stomping people on the way back there. He's not doing that flying Kong thing. So I played a place like that in Stockholm. It will look like that. It's really pretty cool. Soda Teatren. Stockholm was fun. Walked around, ran into Yoshi. Yoshi Obayashi was here. Hung out with him last night. Hung out with him tonight. Did an open mic tonight. All fucking Swedish except for me and Yoshi. He's dark, Yoshi. He's so dark. I like when you get a crowd, most of them to laugh, or some of them to laugh really hard, and some of them to laugh okay, and then some of them to do the cringe, like, oh. I like watching that. I like turning. Like if I'm laughing at a joke and then turning and seeing that reaction also, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes my laugh feel better. Oh, I laughed at that pretty hard. Oh, I got her. It's like seeing somebody throw up at the end of a roller coaster. And you're like, wow, that wasn't good. I knew it was a good ride. That guy barfed. That cringe, that's that comedy version of that, of the roller coaster, somebody barfing. Having a great time in Scandinavia. Iceland was amazing. Went to these amazing places. I'll talk about it on the intro to a fucking Iceland podcast. But man, I had some amazing times in Iceland. And Bergen real quick, in and out. No time really. Fun show, but no time really. Pretty city. The weather got nicer after I was back from Iceland. The weather held up in Iceland too. And then I got to Copenhagen. Took a bike, rented a bike, wanted to bargain the guy down from 120 to 100, then found out it's like 12 to 1, so 6 to 1? 6 to 1. So it was $20. It's $20 for 2 days. For 24 hours of biking. That's fine. And biked all around. Oh my God, it was lovely. Sorry, that sounds... But I mean, what a great city to bike in. Especially after being in Iceland for 3 days, all cold, bundled up. I got my thrift store jacket from Edinburgh that I bought at the, charity shop just for Iceland because I couldn't take like an overcoat with me. I didn't pack good, you guys. I packed like an asshole. I brought a duffel bag. I mean, I packed at fucking 2 a.m. when I was leaving at 4 to go to Montreal in the summer, then to fucking Edinburgh, then Scandinavia, and then Tampa Bay, Florida. All in one trip, and I had to pack like that. I brought a duffel bag. What a fucking asshole. Not nearly enough. And the wrong things. So many of the wrong things. Not enough t-shirts. Anyway, whatever. So I biked in Copenhagen. It was so nice out. I went down past the end of the river and past those barracks. Past those barracks that they had. The last time I was here, this guy, my friend Jonas, his brother, took me out on a boat, showed me this barracks they reclaimed. They're building into like housing. There were people there now. People were living it. I don't know if it was rich, like young hipsters, but they were in between, in the grass in between the barracks that are now luxury condos, I think, or maybe student housing. I don't know who lives there. But it was young, cool people out there fucking something. Maybe it was just people who were like, they're still not lived in, but fuck it. It's a good place to go and just fucking chill out by the beach. I'm seeing some cool shit, you guys. I'm doing some fun shit this trip. This was almost 8 weeks in all. It'll be. Dublin was cool. I'm spending 2 days in each of these cities instead of 1 day. And what I did in Denmark is I took a ride to Free State Christiania, which I heard had some trouble because they had a shooter there. Some guy shot 2 cops, one in the face and one in the leg. And everything was shut down. They shut down Pusher Street. So like you can't get weed there anymore. The residents took it down. The residents took down the city. It wasn't even the police. The residents took it down. I think they were like, fuck it, you brought violence here. Apparently the story is. So first they tried to blame it on like drugs. And then I heard they're blaming it on terrorism. Like it was a guy who kind of ISIS did it. Shot 2 cops just near Christiania, right outside Christiania. And so then it was a misunderstanding and nothing to do with the drugs. So they're like, let's get those Pusher Street, those huts back in. Now that was probably just wishful thinking on the part of a stoner who had a last experience in Christiania, had a wonderful time. Was there twice and just had a fucking amazing time. Once with a guy who doesn't smoke really at all, and Bobby Kelly, who also doesn't smoke at all. Another time with my friend Jonas's brother. And that was more of let's sit out here and chill, listen to some fucking DJ playing some Bob Marley. And so it was all shut down. And I was like, well, let me see for myself. And it wasn't there. So what happened was, I guess, they were saying it was terrorism. But then what I heard from the inside is, no, not terrorism. It was some guy transporting the money out of there, the day's money. I doubt they do a whole day at once. They probably do it hourly. That's just like a business running in. It's always the dealers who come and take over. It's not just like local hippies. It's dealers. You know, they make money in drugs. In all sorts of stuff. They're fucking gangs who run it. So the gangs run it. And they run it pretty safely, you know? If you're sitting in one of their like selling areas, they'll be like, hey, get out of here. We're doing something. Can you mind moving down? Can you mind getting out of here? Maybe it's not the best place for you to sit. But they're not assholes about it. But they're gangs, you know. They don't seem like a nice bunch that you have around your mom, but you know, they're doing it seems like the right way. Until there's one guy who's taking the money out. These cops random check to see, I guess there might be laws on how much like weed you can take out of there. Maybe it's that. So they don't want people just like littering the town, like tourists like littering the town with like 20 ounces worth. So they're like, just keep it here. So maybe they check everyone once in a while. And they asked this guy who had the money for the gangs. I don't know what gangs. They're like, what, we gotta stop you, we gotta search you. And the guy just pulls out a gun and shoots the guy in the face. But these 2 plainclothes officers, which my thought was, did he not know they were police? He thought maybe he was being robbed. The guy said, no way. That's not the guy who told me. Said no. But I think he might not have considered that as a possibility because this guy does not smoke pot. So the guy just shot a cop in the face, then turned to the next guy and go, are you a cop too? And then lowered his gun, shot him in the leg, and then biked off. I don't know if that meant motorbike or bicycle. There's a lot of bicycles in Copenhagen. I said that jokingly, by the way. I know it's Copenhagen. I know they all say it wrong, and we say it right. So yeah, and then the guys who run Christiania, they tolerate the drugs because they like fucking, you know, it's a basic human right. They talk about stuff like that, where it's like you can go into anybody's house and just get a glass of water and walk on. It's a basic human right. I might have misunderstood the guy, but it seemed like he was saying that. Free straight, man. Free straight Christiania. Let's govern it ourselves. And they don't mind soft drugs. They don't want coke there. They said mushrooms was borderline. They don't mind it, but they don't want violence associated with it. And this was violence. And so they tore down everything. And so it's different. But you take a walk around a little bit. And I was like, all right, I guess just walk around Christiania and look at the crazy artwork and stuff. I forgot the artwork was there. All the crazy artists that started that area, that was an abandoned army base. And people just moved in. Hippies. They started like opening their own schools for their kids and running shit themselves. Free State Christiania. An anarchist town. an anarchist kibbutz almost. And so, violence came, so they took it down. So I walk around and look at the crazy art of these crazy people that are there, these crazy fun people that are there. They have statues and sculptures of fucking hands and graffiti all over, and there's a little body of water right there. Some shops and stuff. I didn't go into any of the shops really. To go get some tea at this place I like. And then I looked at a guy and he looked back at me. Weed, he said. Yes, I didn't flinch. I wasn't put off by it or caught off guard. Weed? Yes. Boom, sold me some. And I sat where I used to sit. When I sat last time I was there, and I smoked some weed. Rolled it up in that coffee shop. Bought a skin off the guy. And a filter. Rolled it up. Made a cone for the first time on my own. And then filled up cone style. And I smoked, and then I got that fucking writing bug. I got that fucking think about shit in my head bug. It was sunny out. The guns were out. I took my guns out all over Scandinavia. Everywhere it was sunny. That shit was coming off. Oh, you should have seen people. The guy Casper took me around. It was like my tour manager. He kept going like, "Come on, dude." I got a picture of my guns out in front of the Nobel Peace Prize Center in Oslo. Oh. Yeah. So I start writing, start thinking about stuff. How good I got it. Everything's pretty great, man. I'm getting to test my material out in fucking all over the world. I'm going to test this special. I'm going to do something fucking weird in my special this year. I'm planning it right now. I'm going to work this out all over the fucking globe. I'm going to work this material out in like 7 or 8 countries. Ireland, America, Canada, Ireland, UK. I'll count Scotland and England together, even though they're 2 countries, right? United Kingdom, that means multiple countries. How's that work? Scotland and England. Let's count it both. Oh, I forgot where I'm at, 4 or 5. Norway, Iceland, Denmark, and where am I now? Sweden. Australia, 9. Thailand, 10 countries. Doing this the right way, working with my friends, doing a fucking good special. Anyway, I got everything pretty great. So then I'm like, all right, let's get back on the bike. I'm in a good mood, starting to get a little hot, right? Get a little good writing session going on. Worked out some stuff, thought about some bits. Fucking nice, perfect place, perfect creative place. Some dude playing Bob Marley. Man, it's so fucking free. You feel free outside sitting there in a park, smoking reefer. Like San Francisco, but warm. Denmark has got the best weed in Europe. I'm going to go on the record with that. I haven't heard of other places that could compete. I get that I haven't been everywhere, but I haven't heard the stories of any place that could compete with this. Yes, it's better than Amsterdam. All right. I don't want to get into a fight right now. So I get back on my bike, start biking around, just looking for stuff, sunny, going by that body of water. And that's when I pass those barracks. And I started noticing people are there. I'm like, it's so great. People are like, sort of sunbathing on the other side. Now people are sunbathing on this side. I'm biking. I'm passing my European sunbathers. There's a little beachy area. Was it sand or was it not sand? I went on for like 500 yards. And yeah, it's this beach. It was this beach, and it's a nude beach. Oh my God. So it's a nude beach. People are sunbathing naked. I thought about Steve Simone. I thought Steve Simone would be, if we were next to each other, just be like, oh my God, it's a nude beach. It's a nude beach. Keep cool. Keep cool. It's a nude beach. Don't smile. Don't smile. It's a European nude beach, man. It's no big deal here. It's no big deal. Just a European nude beach. There's some boobs. Okay. Yeah, whatever, man. No big deal. Just biking along. Nice sunny days. Keeping my Something's way. Couple more boobs. Oh, there's a dick, a little dick. All right, 2 more boobs. Baby dick. More boobs, another dick. All sorts of boobs. Nude beach, bike slower. Bike slower. Oh my God. Get to see some fun shit out here. So first what I do is I try to see like some buildings you're supposed to see, you know? All right, I saw that. That's cool. Cool architecture. And then you want to like get in there and experience some stuff. Talk to some people. Get around. Start seeing how people live. Took a walk up the fucking river in Oslo, where the hipsters areas are. Get away from the tourists. Bike in Copenhagen, and I'm assuming the Netherlands too. It's a great way to do that. I'm seeing some crazy shit. And today's podcast is all about travel in the world, you guys. Didn't even introduce you yet. It's all about travel in the globe. My guest is interesting as fuck. His name is Henry Rollins. And I first heard of him when he was still singing. He was still playing music. And then he went on to do a bunch of fucking acting. And then he does public speaking. Not public speaking. Storytelling. He's what I like to say Bill Hicks was trying to be. Interesting. Funny. I don't know. I've never seen his show. But I have seen him do my show. This is not happening. New episode's coming out in October. By the way. I've seen him do my show, and he was funny as fuck talking about his first acid trip. So fucking funny. I'll link to it on the website, where I link to all my music and all that stuff from last week. Running of the Bulls. All those pictures are on my website. Why are you asking me? Of course you should go there first. AriTheGreat.com. It's also got tickets to all my shows, like Tampa this weekend at the Tampa Improv, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next week in Chicago on Thursday, the 22nd, and then in Rosemont, the 23rd and 24th. Rosemont, Illinois. That's if you live near Rosemont. So if Chicago will be the 22nd, and then Rosemont if you live there. If you live in and around the city of Rosemont, which I've heard is not Chicago, but it's actually called Rosemont. If you live near there, definitely come out. 2 nights there. Rosemont I'm going to be in. And then that one day in Denver, which is just my special again. If you came last time, I would advise you not to come this time. It's a lot of the same material. It's almost all this. Let's just call it all the same material. So tell your friends who didn't go to for sure go. But like, I'm letting you know. I'm just going there because it's their celebration of their anniversary. I don't want to be part of it, so whatever. And then my special taping. November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Get tickets now. Spread the word in Austin, Texas at Cap City Comedy Club, November 2nd through the 5th. Come on out that weekend. Come see Ari Shaffir. Any of those shows, you'll see the whole fucking thing. Even if you're not at the time they're actually taping, that doesn't matter. Just come that weekend. Bring friends. Tell people if you live in Austin. Let's make it a party, you guys. I'm taping with all my friends. All my friends. I'm doing this the right way. All the people I trust. All the people I talk to and I know. I'm doing this the right way. From start to finish. Got the lighting guy I love. Steve Calitri, who's not going to do another movie. He's going to do this special with me. Everybody that I trust to fucking make it look like the way we want to make it look. Everybody's going to be quiet when they're filming. All the camera guys. Everything's fucking doing this the right way. Anyway. I'm setting it up. All right, whatever. Let's get back to it. So, Henry Rollins goes all over the world, you guys. He does crazy shit. I mean, we're going to get into it and stuff, but he's a fucking traveler. Oh, that's what I was saying. He was a storyteller. Yeah. You should go see his show. You can get tickets to anything at henryrollins.com. Yeah, go there. His tour. He's going to be in LA soon for like a extended run at Largo in December. his podcast, everything, go to henryrollins.com. 2 L's. You can tweet at him if you want. Anyway, though, he's a world traveler. And he goes to these places. He takes his camera, and he just fucking takes pictures of shit. He goes, lives the life. He lives the life. Henry Rollins on Twitter also, at Henry Rollins, if you want to sell him. He's cool as fuck. And so that's it. I met him in Edinburgh. He was going to be there for a couple shows. I couldn't go. It was at the same time as me. My show was on at 6:30. I think his show is 7. I couldn't get to his show. I was so excited when I heard he was going to be there that I could finally see it. I called his agent, who's friends with my agent, works at the same place as my agent. I was like, hey, get me in. I'm going to see that show. Same time. DeRosa went. He really liked it. Anyway, but met him at a hotel and sat in the restaurant downstairs, the coffee shop downstairs, and just fucking talked to him about all these crazy places he's been. He lives life, you guys. He gets in there. He lives life. He sees shit. Fuck. There are places I want to go. I'm enjoying being on the road. Get in there. You can find a new perspective on things. That's what he's doing all the time, Henry Rollins. That's what I want. Just a new perspective. You know, people are just different in different places. I went to some Ironman competition in Denmark. It was right near my hotel room. Saw an Ironman competition. You don't have to. Okay, you mix with wanting to do two things. Either the fucking typical or the authentic, whatever country you're in experience. You know, like for instance, Iceland. The authentic Icelandic experience is getting whale meat or shark or puffin. But then you talk to some locals and they're like, no, we never eat that. I had it twice ever when I was younger. And then you're like, authentic doesn't mean what people are doing. So there's a split between authentic and also something I can only do when I'm here. You know? So then it's like, well, maybe it's not authentic, but I want to get some fucking whale meat while I get the chance. I had a zebra burger in a borough market of London, looking up and down what to get. I don't know what I'll get. Zebra burger? Yeah, I'll have that, please. I'll have one of those. Do you want to see what else we have? No, I'm good with zebra burger. That's not off the list yet. Let's just go ahead and get that off. I can't imagine something rarer than zebra burger. Go ahead, put that up. Do you want cheese with it? I don't know, man. What goes with a zebra burger? So you mix with either wanting to do an authentic thing or just the local thing. So you get rid of the authentic thing first. You get it out of the way. You go see the palace. To me, anyway. You go see the palace. You go see the whatever. You eat the whatever. And then you have some local stuff. There's a pizza place where they put sour cream and cream cheese on it in Iceland. All right, that's not authentic, whatever, but that's a cool thing to have there. Everyone's eating it. Let's go to that. Let's go to that. I remember in Petah Tikva, where my relatives lived, everyone would go out and get falafel and go watch a movie. Or go get pizza and watch a movie on Saturday night after Shabbat ended. The streets would flood. It was a cool local experience. Pizza and a movie. So get in there and go see the local stuff after that. That's what I want to see. So anyway, I'm in Denmark. I saw an Ironman competition. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a soccer game. Excuse me. I'm going to change. A football game. Didn't we have... When we started American football, wasn't soccer already in existence? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm getting at? There was already soccer, and there was no football. There was no American football, but there was soccer. And the rest of the world, including the English-speaking world, called it soccer. What reason? Excuse me, they called it football. Football, the foot. What reason will we have to not continuing to call it football? We didn't have another sport we were protecting where we already had that name. You know what I mean? Like we have baseball. Everyone calls it baseball. Kadorsal. Nope. That's basketball in Hebrew. Whatever. If another country started a sport where it was they throw bases at each other and try to like gouge each other's eyes out. No, excuse me. Throw bases at people's dicks. Why did I get that? Baseball, motherfucker. Come on. That's where it's right there. It was right there. So you try to like, you know, knock people down by their balls or whatever with the bases, with these bases. If they started that game, they couldn't call it baseball because they must already be aware that there is already a baseball. You know what I mean? If you weren't aware, then fine. Then obviously call it baseball. But if you were aware, then you got to call it, like, you know, the ball gouge or something like that. So we had in existence European football / soccer. We had that. We chose not to call it football while there was no football in America. We called it soccer. And then years later, another sport came up. And that sport we called football. We didn't right there even go, well, hold on, guys. Before we do this, the rest of the world does call soccer football. Why don't we just name that football? This is our last chance to catch up because they're about to use this name for something else that's barely associated with feet. I mean, it's. I'm telling you, you would almost be like they're throwing it in our face with how little football is associated with the feet. But they're calling it that. They're going to call it that. So I say, as president of the American Soccer Association, that we get back football right now because they're going to use it. I know it seems like a bluff because it's throw ball, it's oval ball. There's so many different things they could call it that would be more apt than football. Run ball, tackle ball, rugby. They could call it rugby. So many more things that were closer than what the word football represents all over the world. And they're saying they're going to use it. So I say let's just get it back right now. We don't have to give them soccer. We can keep soccer in case this football doesn't catch on. Let's just get it. No, America said. Dude, if I was president, I'd force America into the fucking catching up. No, well, the name is soccer now. The name for NFL is soccer. National Football Soccer. I go, what do you even call it, a soccer football league? Or NSL. Sure, they can go NSL. No, National Football Soccer. No, that won't work either. National Soccer League. Your choice, but the word is soccer now for football. And we're putting football into football, and they'd fight me on it. People would still, well, I'm still going to call football. Well, you do what you want, but your kind will die out. Your kind will die out, and the rest of us, the smart ones, will be left. And we're going metric system too. Yeah, no protests. I'm in office for 8 years, and I already talked to my vice president, and he said he guarantees me he's going to fucking keep it up. If he takes over for me, that means 16 years, motherfuckers. 16 years of metric system until you'll all forget. Times 10 is the next thing. Times 10 is the thing after that. Why times 12 times 3? No. I'd force it on you. Yeah, it ain't a democracy. Not for everything. Yeah, sure, you have to vote if we want to go to war, but no, not for the metric system. We did the opposite of that, didn't we? We don't vote if we have to go to war, and we did revolt against the metric system, make them turn it back. Anyway, so Henry Rollins was my guest today. There's a sign, and we did it in Edinburgh. There's a sign there in Edinburgh on a bar near the Cowgate. I saw it last year when I went a couple times. I didn't go to Cowgate much because it was pretty far up from my venue. This year, my venue was right off Cowgate. What a great time Edinburgh was, spending a month with comics from all over the world. Become friendly with them, new people. Met those guys from last week. If you haven't heard the Running of the Bulls one, it's fucking ridiculous. Last week's episode. And Yeah, it's just a great time. Wait, what was I saying? Why was I talking about Edinburgh? Yeah, I already know. So there was a sign on Cowgate. My venue was there. I loved it. Oh, that's why. I really did it. I brought an American style of stand-up comedy to that UK Fringe show, and I fucking showed them all, showed the ones that were willing to listen, what comedy is like in our country and what it's like at its highest levels. I think they got it. I think those people got it. I'm like, guys, this is what it can be. It doesn't have to be these fucking theme shows, so spread the word. Anyway. So on Cowgate, there's this bar, I guess. I don't know where the entrance is, but there's this neon sign, red neon sign, if I'm remembering right. Might be blue. I think it's red. And it says, "Not all those who wander are lost." Love that sign. I loved it. I forgot about it. And I remembered it again when I went this year. Not all those who wander are lost. I looked it up. J.R. Tolkien. It's J.R. Tolkien who wrote that one of his poems. I guess I'll read it in the outro. But I love that, man. There's people out there fucking traveling, seeing shit, going from spot to spot. Just doing stuff. Doesn't that seem like fun? Just going out and just doing stuff. Seeing the world. Talking to people. Getting to know a new perspective on all sorts of things. Do you know weed is very illegal in Sweden? I met a guy who grows his own. Super Silver Haze. It's a legitimate strain. It was good. It's tough to tell. I hadn't smoked in a few days. No, I had. Denmark. Yeah, good weed then. Yeah, getting a new perspective. Not all those who wander are lost. There's people wandering around, and they're not lost. That's the point, is to wander. Get lost. To get just fucking your hands dirty. Man, Henry Rollins is out there doing it. He just goes places. You'll hear it. You'll hear it in the episode. He just goes places. He's so cool. He lives life so fucking cool. Listen to his podcast. I think it's just that. I think it's just stories, and I think his show is just that too. Just these stories he's put together of the places he's been and the crazy things he's seen. Wouldn't that be cool just to go and be like, yeah, this is how it's like in so-and-so, some place nobody's been. I mean, you know, Oslo's fine and stuff, but getting rural. Damn, yo. So let's call that episode this. Let's call this episode "Not All Those Who Wander Are Lost." By the way, an Ironman competition. It's fucking weird. It's fucking, they had to race up and down these crazy long, like triple suicides. This other race was on their hands. They had to go up on their hands all the way down this field and all the way back. Not all the way. They get to stop every, like, I think 10 yards. Some guy spots them. I like watching people get fucking lapped by some other Ironman dude. And I started, you know, maybe kind of hungry, so I went and got some, you know, local Danish food. By the way, I think once we had the movie Iron Man, I think these competitions, you can't name yourself that anymore. I get it. What you're doing is crazy. Walking in your hands for fucking a football field is ridiculous. On track, it's not even like grass, you guys. It's like track, you know, texture. It's ridiculous, but it ain't what Iron Man could do. I mean, he shoots shit out of his... I mean, get over yourself. I get it. What you're doing is very tough, but... Come on, man. Iron Man. Why not just say the Superman challenge, then? Why not just say the Superman challenge? Why not just say Superman? If you're gonna go like, oh, we're as tough as this, like use like, you know, allegory. I think that's the right word. Why not just go Superman? Obviously you should. So just change to something else. Tough guy competition. They have that, right? Well, I don't know. Figure it out. The WWF did. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank. Episode 277. Man, this guy's interesting. Not all those who wander are lost, with Henry Rollins. Enjoy. Cut up later. So, yeah, just keep talking. You've been in India?
Oh, well, yeah, I travel. I travel for work.
Yeah.
Like we're here in Scotland, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
And
cool.
so we're traveling. We're not from Scotland, obviously. So we're here traveling, but we got stages meeting us hours from now. Whenever I'm not traveling with a stage, I try and travel as much as I can just with a backpack and a camera. And that kind of travel has put me on all 7 continents and about almost 100 countries.
Do you, okay, first of all, I didn't know there were 100 countries. Do you go for gigs and then wander off from there?
No. A lot of the times I'm doing extracurricular non-show travel, it's exclusively that.
Yeah.
In that, like last November, I was not obligated to a bunch of people to do a bunch of things.
Right.
And so I called my travel agent months before, knowing I had November free. And I said, Antarctica, I have November free. Is that an interesting time to go? And she said, you're very lucky to have November. That's Antarctic spring. That's what you want. It's the prime time to go. The penguins are breeding.
Oh, wow.
It's when you can get into places that you can't get in colder times because they just can't get a ship in there. And so all of November was going to Argentina, going down to Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world, picking up the boat and going through the Drake Passage to the Antarctic Peninsula, dwelling there for a week and then coming back and then returning via Texas to LA. So that was November.
How cold was it there during their spring?
It was plenty cold, but not the coldest I've been to. Siberia was the coldest, I think. Siberia or northern Canada.
Yeah, Canada gets pretty cold.
It gets ridiculously cold. It's cruel. But
Canada gets to the point where I would go outside to smoke.
It was cold.
It hurts your throat just to breathe out there.
Well, you're doing damage to your throat. That's why it hurts. Because you're probably killing the top layer of skin cells. I mean, that kind of weather, it's amazing to be in extremely hot or extremely cold weather. And I've encountered, there's a different kind of sun. This is kind of spiritual. I'm not a spiritual person. But there's a different kind of sun in Africa. It just feels different when it hits you. It feels like it's trying to kill you. Like you can feel teeth. And the sun, like in Egypt or Mali, or in the times I've been to Mali, like a little bit out of Timbuktu, into the desert, by noon, it's projectile vomit hot, like pass out, and it'll kill you. By midnight, it's about 4 degrees above freezing.
No way, it's one of those.
And it's really, you have to bring gear for both hot and cold. And you meet the Tuareg men, never the women. The Tuareg are the people who live out there.
What are those, nomads?
No. They follow seasonal. They're salt traders. They trade things. They move gold, but they are the people of that region. And I go there because I love their music, and they are the toughest people I've ever encountered. Besides people I've encountered in Afghanistan, just because the environment is so harsh. And as a Westerner, I'm there for a week and a half. And it's insane because by 2 p.m., if you don't find shade or wrap yourself, you will get skin damage. You'll have a very bad time.
You're fucked.
Oh, you're screwed, yeah. And by night, it's a whole other nightmare. And I'd go walking around the campfires at night and watch the Tuareg men just in their wraps around the camp. They would just kind of spoon around the campfire. And that's how they stay warm. And by day, they just move their head wrap around, move it in front of your eyes for the sandstorm, the daily sandstorm. Jesus. Move it up, move it down to block the sun and to provide the top of your head with 4 inches of cloth as a buffer.
Do they grow their hair out to try to like help with that?
I don't know.
Or they have short hair like you.
But the way to do it is not undress, but dress up. Layering and breathability. And you see people who live in the desert for real.
Yeah.
They look like Lawrence of Arabia. They're head to toe cotton. They're not in shorts because that'll kill you.
For all shade.
Yeah, you
and
have
to get
to be
the sweat
covered.
to stick to you.
Well, the cloth wicks. It pulls sweat away from you, which cools you down. That's evaporation. And that's why a lot of travel clothes, they advertise it as wicking. It draws moisture away from you. Like in Antarctica, the clothing I was instructed to buy, they said, we cannot let you on the ship if you don't have these clothing items, because we need you to be warm enough to be able to take you off the boat so you can walk around and meet the penguins. And so you buy multiple layers of heat-trapping clothing. And it's just like long johns, but with skillfully made by scientists. And you put like 3 of these layers on and you start baking, just as this conserving your heat. But then when you're walking around and being in a boat with wind for hours at a time, you feel basically neutral, not hot, not cold, but dealable, because it's probably minus something. But years ago when I took the Trans-Siberian Express from Moscow to Vladivostok, every 4 hours they stop, pick up people, pick up supplies, and you can get out and watch the men smoke. And I just stand outside just to dig the cold and just trip on it. And with a winter's coat, a pair of Vans on my feet, and pants and underwear. Within 3 or 4 minutes, the cold has gone through your sneakers, through your feet, and is like kind of going up your legs. The cold is incredible. And meanwhile, the Russian men who will be getting off the train a day later to do some oil work, they're in sweatpants, clogs, tank tops.
Really?
Yeah.
They're just used to it?
Yeah, they're just tough. They're just like some of the toughest people on the planet.
Wait, let me ask you a question. How do you like link up with those Tuaregs and people like that? Like, how do you?
The Tuareg? I got it. I met up with some of them by going to the Desert Music Festival in 2009 and 2010, or 2008 and 2009, I think. I'm forgetting. It was a music festival that had been going for almost a decade, where Malian bands would assemble and play. And I listened to so many of those bands, Tartit, Tenariwen, all these other bands. And so I found the Desert Festival, and I said, well, damn it, man. I've never been to Mali. I'm going. Yeah. And so the first time I went, I just booked a ticket and had the travel agent crank it up. So I left, landed in Bamako, stayed at the hotel that was overrun by the ISIS guys several months ago. Remember the people who got killed in the hotel in Bamako? That's the hotel at the Radisson.
That's where you stayed?
Oh, I've stayed there like a bunch of times. And so, and it's in a really harsh neighborhood. It's just like a really bad, tough, very sad neighborhood. And at the end of the block, there's a nice hotel. Like they just kind of went, doink, and just stuck it there. Anyway, I went from Bamako up to... the name is escaping me. I'll remember later.
Based on what? just wondering? Or are they telling you?
Well, no, to meet with my guide.
Okay.
And so I went from Bamako to Mopti, Mopti, to Mopti. And I met up with a guy named Mahmoud, who I traveled with 2 years in a row. He's Tuareg. Mahmoud took me in a 4x4 with some other travelers. Some Canadians who are fascinating. They vet people who want to become Canadian. There's someone who says, I'm running from my country because they're going to kill me if I go back home. This guy could be African mafia just trying to escape a murder.
Right.
And so these people sit him down and interrogate him, trying to find the lie. And if he can pass through them, he might be able to become a Canadian via amnesty. And there's 2 of them in the van with me as we went across Dogon country, a 4-day trip to get to Timbuktu. And their stories were mind-blowing because they were working in like Niger and they were taking a holiday, didn't want to go all the way back to Canada, so they went a little ways down the road to Mali to go to the Desert Music Festival. Anyway, so I went overground for 4 days and got to Timbuktu, and then you go to Essakane for the music festival. Then I went again a year later with Mahmoud again and went up the Niger River by boat and did it that way. So 2 different ways to get to Timbuktu, which is where then you get in a 4x4 and you go across the desert to the festival site. And you live there for about 4 or 5 days under a slab of camel skin. And around sundown, The musicians appear, and it's music till about 3 a.m. And, you know, by the last band's going on, you're standing there freezing, like...
Because it gets that cold.
In a coat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With your headlamp. You never leave home without a headlamp.
What do you go run back to your tent or your camel skin, then grab a coat and come back for the night?
Yeah. When the sun goes down, there's about an hour where it's like perfect, where it's just perfect weather. And I just walk around and take photos because the sun turns purple and it's gorgeous.
Wow.
And then... it's like a vice. Around 8 p.m., you start feeling the grip of the cold, and it starts gently increasing. You're like, here it comes. And you put your layers on. And, you know, like your 4 T-shirts, and you just start layering up. And then finally you're really layered up, and it's desert cold. There's nothing to hold the heat.
Damn.
And it's... I'd be back there now. It got so hairy there that they had to stop the music festival because the last time I was there... Yeah, some Italians. I think some Italians got kidnapped. 2 groups of people had problems. One group of Saudis got kidnapped, and maybe a couple of Italians were killed. And 2 plane loads of Brits who were coming to the festival, Heathrow wouldn't let them leave. And by the time I got out...
they said it's too dangerous, we're not letting you go?
Yeah. The U.S. government put a travel advisory. But luckily I was already in Africa. They couldn't stop me. But they didn't... America didn't want me to go because of the hassle. And so after that time, it was too dangerous to put the festival on. And so back to the original point, I go to these places because I'm interested, and I have a high-resolution GIF file on my computer of the map of the world. And so when I say if I know I'm going to have a month like in March. Say I know I have March 2017 off.
No responsibilities.
No responsibilities, or nothing I can't handle from the road, because I'm obligated to tons of stuff. So I can take my writing and radio on the road and beam it in from afar. I will pick a landmass and go from like left to right. And so I'll go, okay, North Korea, China, Mongolia, Bhutan, Tibet, Vietnam, which is actually a trip I made once.
Really?
Yeah.
And then do you try to follow that exact path, or do you just use an outline and be like, you know what, I'm staying in Vietnam for a while?
Oh, no. It's all, the hotels are booked. They're all hard in, hard outs, because I got to return to an obligation. So I got to be back 22 days after I left, because on day 25, I'm on set, on location, on tour, something.
Yeah.
And so I have hard ins and hard outs.
Dude, this is so cool. How long have you been doing this stuff? Like, when did you start getting the wanderlust?
I started doing, I've had that since I was a kid because of my mom, who was an art nut, and she would save her meager earnings from her government job, and it couldn't have been much. We were solidly middle class. And she would save her money, and every few years she goes, okay, we got some money, we're going to go to Italy and Turkey and this, and we're going to see all these museums and all these statues. And as a little kid, I'd been to like Istanbul and Rome and, London, go to the National Museum and check out Shakespeare's handwriting. And it's all, really cool for a little kid to dig other cultures. And Istanbul in the 70s was nothing like it is now. It's very touristy now. I've been there like a bunch of times, and I was there just a couple of years ago on my way back from Central Asia. I was in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. I'd already been to Kyrgyzstan twice, so I skipped that. But I went to Georgia from there, and then on my way back to America, I did like 72 hours in Istanbul, and it's cool, but it's very backpacker youth, where it used to be really like a movie. You
must have seen that a lot, right? With cities or countries becoming like too Western.
Well, they just become destinations.
Yeah.
And in some ways, in a lot of ways, it's good. Looking forward, in just my opinion, in that the last time I was in Kathmandu, it was like backpacker youth. But I like the idea of young people with their backpacks leaving home and going to frickin' Nepal. Like you
just
come
finding
back
shit
and seeing things and having their minds blown. And maybe I'm Hopi changing and tree hugging, but in my opinion, you can't convince that person to be part of a war after they go into the world and see that stuff. How are you going to sell that kid on the invasion and occupation of Iraq?
Or that they're different than we are when you met them and they're not different.
And so when their dad goes, well, those damn Iranians, all they want, like, really? I've been to Iran. It doesn't make me an expert.
Yeah.
But no one would allow me to spend money. That people just bought everything for me. I had to take the money. I bought a bunch of rial the money. I bought it in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I just gave taxi drivers big ass tips because I still have a big wad of it, which I hope to one day go back to Tehran and spend. It was an amazing place. But our country has a real chip on its shoulder for Iran. We want to smoke them. And they know that. I had interesting discussions with Iranians who had been educated at Boston College.
Okay.
Whose IQs are like, stratospheric. And they said, yeah, you guys want to kill us. I go, I know. I know, not me, but yeah. There's a lot of people who don't dig you because they don't know.
Do you find yourself apologizing for your passport?
No, because my curiosity, the fact that, look, when you go to a place like Pakistan, you go all the way out to Islamabad, people usually just thank you. And they'll say, well, why are you here? I said, and I have a one-liner that always works. Feel free to use it. I always say, why am I here? I'm here to meet you, man, which is true. I go, my name's Henry, man. What's happening? It always gets a laugh. And I've used that like in convenience stores in Tehran. I've used it on the streets of Islamabad.
When you get recognized or when they're just like, what's a white person doing here?
You stand around long enough, someone will come up, my friend, are you lost?
Right.
They're usually trying to be helpful. Are you embassy? No. Journalist? Hell no.
Yeah.
Just a traveler. Well, why are you here? I'm here to meet you, man. What's up? And they're like, oh, well, it's nice to meet you. I go, hey, you can't understand how cool it is to meet you, man. I flew 3 days to get here. And so I started doing that kind of travel in the mid-'90s when I would be doing an interview and someone says, well, with rock and roll, you get to travel. I go, well, yeah. Australia, Japan, the European continent, Singapore, some cool destinations. But I've never been to Africa. And I hated saying that. Like, what a wimp, what a cop-out. So one day I pulled out the map of Africa. I said, okay, so let's see. Egypt, got to do it. Kenya. And I just started going. You get all your vaccinations and you start learning how to travel in Africa because it's different than traveling other places.
Really? How's Africa different than like Southeast Asia?
Oh, Southeast Asia, just my opinion, is insanely friendly. Like I'd leave tomorrow and go. I mean, there's not one part of it not to love. Africa, and I've been there like 15 times, different parts of the continent. Again, I'm no expert. But you've got to have your wits about you. Like I have a lot of rules. I land and immediately get my bearings. I try and get to the country with some local currency so I don't have to haggle with money changers because there's no way they're going to treat me right.
Right.
They go, well, Mr. New York. You're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And you have to hopefully be able to haggle your way through the customs guys trying not to take some of your stuff. Well, I have to take this. No, that's shaving cream. I really do need that. Or,
What do you mean? They just try to like take it for themselves?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And
That's so foreign, the idea that officials will be.
This is not everywhere, but this has happened to me.
Yeah.
That was Madagascar. I'm like, no, man. No, I need all that. And they're like, but my friend. I'm like, no, it's cool. Maybe I'll hook you up on the way out. I'll give you all the stuff I'm not going to use. They're like, well, I'll be waiting for that, my friend. You're like, yeah, I know. And so I get to a hotel, and you have to find a real taxi because everyone with a car will go, my friend, taxi. And they could just take you to a neighborhood and go, right, get out and give us all your stuff because you don't know where you're going.
And that happens there in certain parts of Africa.
It could happen in Georgia. I mean, you just have to have your game on.
Right.
I'm not saying everyone who comes up to you like, how are you going to try and rip me off? But just don't walk around with your eyes closed because in a lot of parts of Africa, if you're white like me, you are not from there. It's not like walking around the streets of Berlin where you can just pass for German by just being...
By just keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah. And if you have gear, like someone looks at that bag, that's camera gear. So I have a bag made by a company called Think Tank, and they make bags that kind of disguise the fact that it's camera gear. And so...
What do you got, video cameras or just pictures?
Just still. I'm not interested in video. I like to take still photography.
Yeah.
But, I've got like a couple of bodies and a couple of lenses. I can't afford to lose them. And,
Oh, they must want to steal those bad.
I'm not going to fight people for it. It's not what I'm wanting. And so you get to the hotel and immediately look for a place to find water. And if you can find any crate store that just sell boxes of water, open one up, pull one out. A lot of them usually have a government seal like whiskey. crack it, and go, okay, and buy the whole box.
To make sure it's not cracked. To make sure it's not
just
already.
make sure it's not from the tap.
Right.
Because water in some of these places, you don't want to drink it. You'll have a really bad time.
That's everything. Whenever I go to anywhere, they're like, "Do not chance it. Don't drink the water.
Never.
Don't worry about it. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. And if you can, bring some water with you. Bring like a couple of 2-liter bottles with you, just so you have ready hydration when you land. But the first thing I do is I lock up my room. I hit the streets with no gear, no camera gear.
Nothing to steal.
No, just no one to get a beat on me. I just not going to show my hand because I'm looking for water, and so I go find and I will find I'll buy a case of 12 bottles of water and drag it with me for days. My backpack becomes like 40 pounds of water, and I walk around and look for good photo ops, find the marketplace where the spices are being sold, and everyone gathers to talk. And it's very colorful and beautiful, and tons of people. Can people watch? I get the lay of the land and the perimeter around the hotel, and get back to the room before dark. And I get ready for the next day. And then I go out and I walk. I just pick directions and just go. Or I get a taxi and go, give me $5 that way. The guy goes, why? I said, oh. What's your objective? Just to find the hotel.
And then wander back. Yeah, dude, that's the most fun.
Yeah.
And then you just go down, I don't know, there's no reason to go down this street or that street, so pick one and go.
Yep. And I've been doing that all over. And so I started traveling in an extracurricular, non-work fashion in 97, my first trip to Africa, which was Kenya, Madagascar, South Africa. And then the next year was Egypt.
Yeah.
And then it was Africa. And then I'd been hitting Africa for years. And then I said, okay, Southeast Asia. Never been to Vietnam. Had been to Thailand a bunch, just on my way to Australia or on my way back.
Yeah.
And just like 11 times I've been there for 72 hours or shooting a documentary there and once in Chiang Mai. It's great.
Oh, Chiang Mai was so much fun.
It was just...
Those back alley kickboxing stuff they have with little kids fighting.
Oh, that I didn't see. I just walked around the streets. I was shooting a documentary, so my 9 to 5 was pretty busy. But... I'd never been to Laos or Cambodia.
Yeah.
And so I started grooving on that, went to Vietnam a bunch of times doing research for some documentary stuff I wanted to do on Agent Orange, and I tried to sell that documentary idea to every possible documentary channel, and everyone said, no.
Why, too depressing?
I pitched, and implicates... people who probably pay some of their advertising. And they just went, Henry, you know how this bread is buttered, right? Get out. Anyway.
I love when you call them on not being completely artistic, and they're like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, well, you just go, yeah, we both know what's up. And there needs to be extraterrestrials, paranormal, or Yeti. Otherwise, we can't make your...
Yeah,
we're a vampire.
Bigfoot doesn't sponsor us.
Yeah, otherwise we can't touch it. So... through the 90s into the 2000s, I've been traveling in that way, trying to, any available time, I will go. And I've almost been killed a couple of times in my life, really, really close, really uncool. But that was America.
Really?
Yeah. The rest of the world has been very friendly to me. I was in Iraq once with the USO, and there's a couple of mortars dropped outside a building we were in. But we were in a building that was, safe for mortar, so nothing happened, obviously. They're not going to put the talent in harm's way. But then they warned me. They said, the next half hour, there's going to be a mortar attack. It's one guy every day. And 20 minutes later, just
it was.
Oh, yeah. And it was, you can taste the adrenaline in the back of your mouth, because you can really use what's that bitter taste? Oh, yeah, that's adrenaline. Because it just comes out because your whole body
can't help it, right?
Reacts to that.
Mortars.
Yeah. And it feels like a ghost walked up and punched you in the sternum, the concussion. I mean, it's really...
What do you mean?
The concussion, the blast, it's like a fist into your breastbone.
You can feel it?
Oh, hell yeah. It's like someone hits you. It sucks the air out.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was nothing like it. Anyway... and I'm sure they meant us no good with the mortars. But beyond that, the world has been really nice to me. I've spent weeks in the Middle East alone, going through Islamic countries. Or when you go to Indonesia, every third building's a mosque. Or going across Central Asia, where it's mosques and madrasas. And in Turkmenistan... all these countries have appalling human rights records, but in Turkmenistan, white guy alone with a camera. There's a lot of soldiers just like waving at me and just like pointing at me to turn around because I was too near a government building, and I'd say no photo, no photo. They're just like, go, and you do what they say. You just turn around and walk elsewhere.
Is a lot of it just don't be an idiot?
Well, you're not allowed to take photos of government buildings or embassies. That's the law anywhere. And so if you're going to take the tour of like Government Row and look at the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Transportation's buildings and all of that, don't bring your camera because you're going to put these military guard guys on alert. They're going to have to come over and wave their finger. Don't even put them out. Just like leave your stuff at home in the room and then look at it if you find government buildings interesting, and then grab your camera and go elsewhere, or put it in your backpack and just not show a camera. Otherwise, they're going to come over and give you a speech.
You must get, because I get it. I don't travel as much as you, but I'd like to go see shit.
Yeah.
You must get people from, not here, America, going like, dude, that's too dangerous. Don't do that.
Oh, all the time.
Like, what do you tell them?
Well, I tell them I can't advise them to do what they're going to do with their life. But I tell them I personally can't live being afraid of the earth and being afraid of the world and being afraid of people. It's not how I live. And George W. Bush, I went to every country. I went to all 3 countries of the axis of evil.
Yeah.
Because he said...
While it was going on?
Yeah, because he said, don't go there, terrorizers. Be full of fear. And I went, well, no, I refuse. And I'm not a tough guy. Really, and I'm not looking for a fight, and I'm not, looking to run for my life. I just refuse to fear the world, because my experience has been, I was in Pakistan when Bhutto was assassinated. I mean, that was intense. The second or third day I was there, Islamabad, there's columns of smoke. She got killed like 4 miles from my hotel near the airport in Rawalpindi. And
when was that? How long was that?
2007.
Okay.
I just finished a film in America, and the next day I wrapped out and left for Islamabad. And like 48 hours into that, and I was downtown every day in the Blue District where the shopping is, just hanging out, voulez-vouing with people, men. You don't talk to women. You're introduced maybe, but men will talk to you. And, my friend, why are you here? I'm here to meet you. What's happening? And soon you're talking about the weather, and around sundown, the sky turns purple and like 80 million mosquitoes come out, so you need a path back to your room. But it's not the danger that made me go back. It was clouds of mosquitoes. Literally, they're like, here they come, and you jam back. And then 2 nights in, I returned to the room, put on Al Jazeera, and Bhutto's been assassinated, and I look at the newscast, and I look at the sky, I go, wait a minute, this is real time.
Wow.
And by the next morning, the hotel lobby is full of every embassy has emptied into our hotel. So there's cranky kids, like in their pajamas, people on big satellite phones, scary security, like men in suits with Uzi bulges. I mean, like hardcore security, like licensed to kill you right now for a frown.
Damn.
And Reuters, news carriers, everyone at the Serena Hotel. And so I left.
You left the hotel?
Yeah, because there's columns of smoke everywhere, and there's the front lobby, the gate rather, is festooned with soldiers. Because you got half of the embassies are jammed up in there, so they're protecting, the American consulate or whoever. And they said, "Sir, please go back to your room." I go, "Well, is it illegal for me to walk on the streets?" They said, "No, but it's not a smart idea." I said, "Yeah, I know. So I'll see you guys later. Or maybe I won't." And they went, "All right, man." And I stayed outside until I stayed outside all day.
Was it chaos out there?
Yeah.
Like, were there people being killed and shot and stuff?
No. There's just men weeping. It was all men and boys. Boys lighting things on fire, breaking stuff. And men hugging each other and weeping and asking if I was lost and if I was okay.
Weeping because their leader got killed?
Yeah, because they had an assassination in their country.
Right.
She was the presumptive. I mean, she was probably going to win, and so I'm forgetting the name of the president who was there at the time. I should know this stuff. Anyway, so I stood outside. And I marched in a march. These men with like 2x4s are all pumping their fists. So I just jumped in with them, and we're like, "Yeah, man, what are we mad about?" And then they were marching to a mosque, and suddenly they're all in rows kneeling to pray. And I kind of tiptoe through the rows and get out of the way of their prayer. But I stayed out until the evening, and that's when all the women came out. And it was men and women on the streets at sundown. And I stayed until the bugs, the mosquitoes. And I went back to my room, and the soldiers like, where have you been all day? I said, on the streets, man, over there.
Experience and shit.
Yeah, seeing things. And I was in Kathmandu on the day of their big parliamentary elections. I was on my way to Bhutan. And everywhere there's people on the streets. And so I leave the hotel with my camera, and I'm wandering through people with all these little billets, because there's like 80 people running for each seat. And everyone's throwing the billets up in the air. So it's a bunch of people. And people start grabbing me by my arm. Not in a scary way. They're like, journalist, journalist. I'm like, no, traveler. And they're like, come, no cameras. And so they're pointing, like, take a photo of that. And they're pushing me to the front of like rings of people where people are dancing. And they said, take photos. I went, okay. And so I took photos of people dancing and playing instruments and holding up, like, yay, we're voting, and everyone's very happy.
This is their first votes?
No, I found out the story kind of has to go on. So I'm there until I lost light, and everyone's like grabbing me, like, no, photo that. They're like asking me to photo stuff. I'm like, sure. And I'm getting great photos. They'll all be in my next photo book. And so I get back to, when it's dark, I get back to my room, and I type elections Kathmandu, and the press had been kicked out at like 08:30 hours, no cameras allowed. The government kicked out the press. I wandered in after the press had been kicked out for hours, and so I developed some photos, like, photoshopped them and made them nice, and sent them to my manager, and he sent them to Getty and AP, because I was one of the only people with a camera in there at all, just because I was a tourist and I just wandered in through like some side street hours after the press had been kicked out.
Why did they kick the press out?
Crazy scoop, just because I was there on the right day.
Yeah.
I was also in Kathmandu a year before when the Communist Party of Nepal staged a countrywide strike. And I'm outside with people waving these massive hammer and sickle flags and yelling through megaphones, and I'm just wandering around. No one paid attention to me. And I wander back to the hotel, the Yak and Yeti Hotel. That's the name of the place. And I was in the executive floor because I have fast internet, and the guy in the tea room was always trying to get me to have a cup of tea. So that evening I went in, and he said, where have you been, my friend? I said, I've been out on the streets. He said, do you know what's happening today in Nepal? I said, well, there was a bunch of communist flags out there. I said, I noticed that there's no vehicles on the street, so I guess it's a holiday. He said, no, that was the Communist Party threatening to torch any vehicle on the street. He said, I couldn't even ride my motorbike here. I had to walk like 5 miles to get here. Wow. He says, it's a national strike. What were you doing outside? I go, I don't know, man, wandering around. They said, there's been like 4 people killed today. I'm like, well, no one looked at me. The only people who gave me a hard look were the guards in front of the American embassy, who were like loaded for bear.
But do you ever do the math and be like, 4 people killed out of 1 million or whatever it is, 500,000? That's not that many.
Yeah, but
the odds are it's not going to get to you.
Yeah, well,
it's still scary.
The world is a trippy place, but we're Americans, right?
Yeah.
We have unenviable homicide rates that we look at all the time.
I was ignore those.
I've been on tour most of this year. This is my 6th time to Europe this year. It's crazy. My ass looks like an economy plane seat. Yeah. But at one point, the woman who manages me, she sent me a photo of the bottom of my street with tons of cops. She said, they just shot a guy like 4 doors down from your place. I'm like, okay. I think he was breaking in somewhere, and the people saw him and called the cops. The cops came up, and he was going for a weapon or moved his hand, and they just
Where was this?
This was in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right off Hollywood Boulevard. And so I got this big blurry cell phone photo of cops and cop cars and tape. I'm like, I know that stop sign. Wait a minute. And so we Americans, we live in an environment where wrong parking lot, wrong Walmart on the wrong night.
Yeah.
And it could be everything from the Beltway shooter to some guy who's had too many, who doesn't like your Obama sticker on your car, who wants to have a word with you.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Potomac, right?
I'm from Washington, D.C.
I'm from Kent Mill.
But oh, cool. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As an American,
that's
your
just
ass is
random.
up for grabs.
Yeah.
And there's no neighborhood that's that safe in that, unless you live in a gated community with Rod Stewart. But beyond that,
Yeah.
you got to go to the supermarket at some point. And once you're out there.
And
man.
that Beltway shooter was random.
Yeah.
There was no
and that was pretty scary. I was in D.C. like 5 days before that broke out. That's where I come from, so whenever I can, I go visit. And I was there visiting the old neighborhood, and days later, I was subbing for someone doing some AM talk radio thing, and that was the main topic. Because the reports are coming in like in that Michael's whatever that hardware art store.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was killed in that parking lot, like because they had a high spot.
They were trying to tie it together. Like, how are these linked? And so it was
Right.
like, nah, just a guy driving around.
It was awful watching that one sheriff guy who was kind of in charge of, because he was just like sweating bullets trying to figure out the MO of those two guys. But anyway, travel to me, it's necessary for me. It informs a good part of what I talk about on stage.
Yeah.
It informs what goes into my camera. It informs all the travel books that I write. So I own a publishing company, so I sleep with the owner every night, so I can publish anything I want. And I publish travel books, and I publish my travels with photos, and the photos are everything from record stores in Moscow to the pyramids, whatever.
I remember listening to you once, I think on KCRW, I guess it was, but you were just like, hey, here's a record I found randomly, and I don't even know where.
Yeah.
And it's a cool song. I want to play it for you.
Yeah, I
and
buy
it's like
records,
you're never going to find that anywhere else.
Right. And me and my road manager, Ward, he and I have been traveling the world together, I don't know, like 12 years now. Thankfully, we're both record maniacs, and so Ward is always on it. He's got that record store finder app, and so we get to any town. Like, all right, mate, you go to the gym. I'm going to find this record store. He's a big Australian guy, and I always go hit the gym. And I come back. He's like, all right, I've been to 2. They're great. We got a runner. We're going, and we just hit the record store, and then we go to sound check. And so we're in record stores almost every day on tour, from 0 to 2 stores a day. Yeah.
Just trying to find gems.
All the time. And we were just in Dusseldorf, and we had one of the most amazing record store days in years.
Why?
Dusseldorf is where Kraftwerk is from.
Oh, yeah.
It's where some of the first, what they call krautrock. I despise that. I call it cosmic music. Some of the first cosmic music records or shows were done. And so we're at Slowboy Records, and he's Slowboy's 2 guys, Gunter and Andreas. They're a vendor on Discogs, and I buy stuff from them all the time because they deal in really weird, eclectic, avant stuff, which I listen to a lot of. And so Ward said, Slowboy. I go, yeah, the Discogs. He goes, no, it's also a store. I've called them. They're closed because they're moving, but they're going to open the store for us. And we had a day off to drive to Holland. So he goes, we're going over there at noon. And I meet these guys I've been ordering stuff from. Couldn't have been nicer. And we're finding killer records. We're just pulling. It's going to be a great day. And Ward goes, come over and look at this. And they have a row of framed posters. And there is a promo poster for the first Noi album from like 1971.
Okay.
I'm like,
I don't know
that's...
them.
So I'm a poster fanatic. There's a poster for a Cluster Kraftwerk gig from like 1971 or 2 or whatever. And then there's a promo poster for the first Cluster album. And then there's a gig poster for the Cosmic Music Explosion, Tangerine Dream, Conrad Schnitzler, like these godfathers of cosmic music. And these are original. I said, are those real? Because something that old you just don't see anywhere. I said, are those real? And the guy said, yeah. I said, how did you get those? Because those are hen's teeth. Those are so rare. He said, well, we got the Noi poster from Klaus Dinger from Noi. He lives in town. He found them in one of his storage spaces. The Cluster poster was found at the home of Conrad Schnitzler, the guy from the band. Under his couch, his wife found a pile of them.
Left it there.
A pile of them, and we convinced her to sell them to us. And we got these other. I forget how we got the other 2 posters. Maybe from Klaus Dinger. And I said, okay, here's a stupid question. Do you have any for sale? And he went, I said, I'd like to talk to you about that. And they started pulling open poster drawers, and they had several of the Cluster poster, one of the Kraftwerk Cluster, multiples of the other 2, and I just picked out the best looking versions and some other seriously rare 30-plus-year-old punk rock gig posters. And they gave me a very good deal. We rolled them up in two big-ass poster tubes. Road manager Ward, he split the other day out of Germany, so he took them over to my office. I'll be back in L.A. on Monday. I'm going right to the framers.
Is this trip? You just found them?
Yeah, this is like, 8 days ago.
Oh.
And we walked out of there because he bought one of the cluster promo posters, these are insanely rare, hand-screened. On paper, you blow through it a hole, you punch through it, it's so old. It's like 1971. Sitting under a couch.
Wow.
The provenance is so cool. Earlier this year in January, we have the afternoon before the show in Moscow. And so we have an on-the-ground guide who knows we want record stores. He goes, I got the record store of all record stores. We go into the Soviet block, and he goes, fellas, get ready. We go in some dingy door with like a cutout record over the door. You're like, okay, this is going to be awful. Walk down some stairs and go into basically a place that looks like the Library of Congress, and it is full of records. And we're like, oh no. We only have 3 hours before sound check. 148,000 records this guy has. And we're like, okay. And it was so big, I just went to sections where I could find, okay, look, they have a Joy Division section. Every bootleg I had, and like 10 I didn't. So I said, okay, getting these. Road Manager Ward is into extraordinarily rare prog and avant stuff that I can't even pronounce. Yeah. I hear him 4 aisles over going like, no way. I run over there and he's holding this record. He says, I've been looking for this for like 15 years. I have a MP3 of the album. I never thought I'd be looking at this. It was sitting on top of a stack of records. Luckily for the owner of the record store, he knows what he has, and it wasn't a cheap record. But Ward bought it. I said, Ward, you're never going to see it again. Just buy it.
How much are records like that?
How many?
How much are they?
That was $300.
Okay.
Which is cheap because he could put it on eBay right now, and another fan of that record would just buy it for $5. And so he bought it. I said, you only live once, man. You know, you got to do it. He said, yeah, you're right.
Dreams worth $300.
I said, throw down, dude. And I came out of there with a bunch of records, and he came out with a few. And we're on our next tour of Russia. We're plugging in 1 or 2 days off in Moscow just so we can
go there?
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to be there at opening till closing because there's so much to check out. I mean, there was literally aisles and boxes, and most of it's databased. I mean, it was incredible, and I've never heard of this store before. And through a translator, I asked the owner, I said, are you buying like entire collections and libraries? And he said, yeah. I said, but you have like the new, this record or that record, whatever. And he said, yeah. So I said, so you're getting records from England and Germany? He goes, oh, yeah. He says, there's no trade ban. I mean, we're getting records from every distributor in Germany.
He gets new stuff now.
Oh, yeah.
Look at like the new Adele record or whatever.
Exactly. No, yeah, all of that. And the Arctic Monkeys, whatever. Yeah. It was like going to Tower Records on steroids because he also had blues and jazz records that I have in my collection because I bought them 100 years ago for cheap. But he had them. I'm like, how are you finding this Lightning Hopkins record? I've seen like 2 of these in my life. He just shrugs, hey, And so this is why I travel, to go hit a record store in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I went to 3 in Riyadh and found Omar Soleiman records I've never seen before.
Wait, that might be who it was.
Was it Omar Soleiman?
It might be who it was that you were like...
the record store I bought the thing in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. I had an amazing record store day in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Found a bunch of Omar Soleiman. Yeah, who's from Syria. Anyway.
You ever find any cool old Black Flag stuff? And you were like, oh, yeah, I remember this.
I saw a bootleg 2 times. I saw a bootleg in Moscow, which I'd never seen before. But I saw we went into a small studio once in Venice in 1984, did a full set, mic'd and mixed 16-track for a radio broadcast that never happened. I have never heard the session. It was on CD in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, someone must have got, maybe the studio owner had a rough mix cassette.
How'd you do next to your memory of it?
Oh, I've never played it.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
But I bought it. I went, so of course, there's a record store neighborhood in Tokyo called Shinjuku, and like every third store is a record store. And whenever I'm there, day off, all day in Shinjuku, and you come out with an extra suitcase worth of bootlegs, like the entire 1974 King Crimson tour. Every damn show's in a store. So you just pick out like, oh yeah, Bremen, Berlin, Paris. There's stores that are just dedicated to like only Dylan. One store is nothing but Zeppelin and like Guns N' Roses, and they just like super highly specialized, all mod stuff. Tons like all metal stores, or like all punk rock. It's one of the many reasons I travel. I travel to understand what globalization is doing to the world, what global climate change is doing to the world, what the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund is doing to the world, what American trade policy is doing to the world.
What have you seen? But here's what I noticed when somebody asked me once. It was like, what do they think of in these small places in in Asia or wherever? What do they think of America? And my answer is usually they don't. They don't think about us one way or the other.
Well, the opinions I've always gotten is, we love you, we love Obama.
Yeah,
The people
Schwarzenegger.
They love Obama, or they love them some Schwarzenegger. But it's not what people have said to me. It's what I've seen, like in Phnom Penh.
Okay.
To see the Gap factory. And one time I was in Phnom Penh, and there's two Western women in the lobby of the hotel. They recognized me, and they said, "Hey, Henry Rollins, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm going to Tuol, Sleng, and Cheng Ek, the killing fields, to go check all that out," which I did, which was really
see
heavy.
it for yourself.
Oh, yeah, man. There's bones and clothes coming out of the ground.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really sad. I spent all day just, picking up teeth and buttons and just, tripping on all that. And I said, I'm just here, with my camera, just checking things out. What are you all doing here? And they said, we work for Levi Strauss. And I said, let me remember, the most American garment no longer has, it pulled up all of its, and I used to have it all memorized. You pull up your factories here, here, and here, and the most American garment is no longer made in America, right? They said, well, our super upper end jeans are, but yes, everything else went to other countries. You are correct. And a bunch of Americans lost jobs. And I used to talk about it on stage. So I said, so I guess the Levi's plant landed here? And they said, yes. I said, yeah. Well, there's a lot of clothes get made in Southeast Asia. You know that.
Yeah.
Like Fruit of the Loom and whatever. That's where a lot of things in the world get made is these other countries. That's why you can buy them for like $1.50 at Walmart, because someone's getting $1.50 a year to work there, right? And so I said, so, okay, what are you doing here in Phnom Penh? They go, we inspect every fiscal quarter. We are here to go to the Levi Strauss plant because the company heads do not want anyone treated badly. So we make sure there's ventilation, bathroom breaks, that no one's working pregnant, that no one's in pain. And our company's really all about that. Look, yeah, of course we're trying to please the stockholders, whatever, but we're not interested in a sweatshop.
Right.
So we are here every 3 months on everyone's case to make sure everyone is going by the book. I said, okay, I'll give you a pass on that. But
that's
the effects of globalization. You'll go to some small village in like Sri Lanka or parts of India, and you'll see some kid. I saw some kid with a Shepard Fairey T-shirt on, with the artwork that Shepard did for the Led Zeppelin Best of record, Celebration with the Big Zeppelin.
Okay.
And I saw this little kid. I'm like, hey man, all right, Led Zeppelin. And he kind of looked up, and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And
it's a cool shirt.
Great shirt, but it was just in a pallet of shirts that got sent by some NGO to that part of the world. And the kid, it fit him, and they put it on. And on that same trip, I was somewhere and saw a kid with a Slayer shirt on. Teenage kid, I'm like, all right, a Slayer shirt in a dusty village. I went, Slayer, all right. And the guy went, oh, this? What's Slayer? I go, it's the band. Oh, okay.
He's just like sleeves. That's all right.
It's just a shirt to put on. And one time I was in Haiti, and I volunteered to deliver some Croc shoes to some orphans up in the mountains. And so I got out of Port-au-Prince, And we went there with a bunch of these Croc shoes to a village of orphans. And the kids put the Croc shoes on. But as soon as the shoes come out of the boxes, they all gather together for the photo. Because every time they get something, they know they have to gather together so the NGO rep can take the photo to put in the brochure so the NGO can get more money. Meanwhile, many of the NGO representatives are at the hotel I was in Port-au-Prince, white wine lunches. And whenever I'd be in the hotel lobby, they're always in the restaurant or the bar. And I asked the guy who was showing me around town, Jimmy, I rented a car, a car and a driver so I can get into neighborhoods and get out with a local. So I said, Jimmy, this morning I saw those people eating Eggs Benedict. We're back for lunch. I always buy Jimmy lunch because by noon, Port-au-Prince is like sweltering, hot summer hell. And so I said, let's go get some chow, man, and my treat. And those same people are drinking white wine and having a big lunch. And then they're roaring with laughter, drunk at the bar that night. So I said, I never see them outside. Isn't that like World Vision and all those NGOs? He said, yeah, here's the deal. And I found this out. I went to all these tent cities and had Jimmy translate for me. And I said, so who are the good guys? And everyone said, Doctors Without Borders, World Food Program. I said, who are the bad guys? And everyone said World Vision. Every village, every tent city hated World Vision. And I'm not here to put them down. I have no idea what they get up to. And I said, so why? Yeah. And they said they come to our tent city. They make they bring us 50,000 gallons of water in some bladder, which is now dilapidated and flat. We do the photo op, and then they leave. But they come into our country with X amount of money. They spend 10% of X, and they get their salaries, and they eat. And then they leave with a ton of the money. And these people are salaried. And then they just put photos into the brochure of us with the water, and they get more money. But when they come here, most of the money leaves. It comes in with them, but it goes back. They give us a little bit, but they're making money. It's a scam.
Just a photo op.
Just a photo op.
By the way, they did that with the Red Cross in the camps in Germany, where they painted them all white and said, look, it's not that bad. Got the pictures, then got out of there and went back to...
And there you go. And so I've been in countries where in the morning I'm in the breakfast room with NGOs talking shop around me. Like, where have you been? Oh, I've just been in Romania for 2 months. Oh, what a crap rotation. I was there last year. Real shit show. And these guys are just tough talking. That was in Burma. I was in Rangoon. And I was on my way up to Mandalay. And you just hear them talking shop. Like, oh, what's the better gig? Oh, you got to go and get, And they're just kind of third world hacks. They do third world porn, poverty porn. And they're drawing a salary. And what people said to me in every tent city in Port-au-Prince was, it's not what you think it is. I mean, we're screwed. We're in need. And they give us some aid. Because I would go there every day with Jimmy and say, okay, is there something I can do for you? I got a little bit of money. I got a car. I can't bring you 150,000 gallons of water. And usually they would say, we want soap and soccer balls. Soap so we can do the washing, and soccer balls for the kids. So me and Jimmy would go to stores and clean them out with 4-cent bars of soap and buy every soccer ball they had. And you give it to the one leader. There's always the leader of the pack, the one main alpha. And you give them to him. He lines everyone up and he hands everything out. And he tells you to get out. Or you make a cash contribution. He goes, okay, you've made merit. And he kind of goes, these two are cool. And then you get to take photos of anything you want because you've paid off.
You've gotten in.
Yeah, well, you've made merit,
right?
As the Buddhists say.
Made merit. I like that term.
Yeah, that's a Buddhist term I heard one point in Burma, actually, making merit, like paying your dues. And so when you see what is said on all of those, this is Pepe. Pepe's lonely and he's hungry. That guy who's always on at 4 a.m. You can help Pepe and his wonderful sister, Claudia, and they bring in the crying girl. By giving this money now, this child needs you, and the kid starts crying.
And the sepia tones.
Yeah, and the kids are adorable, and it's awful, and you feel bad because you're a nice person and they're hungry. What I've learned is you can't be completely sure where all that money goes. And that's what travel has informed me, that the world is an extraordinarily brutal place. Yet humans with people with nothing, and you see that a lot in Africa. People with like, a T-shirt and a stick. I mean, they're so, it's tough.
Yeah.
Or like in South Sudan, they've had a war with the North for how many years? And I was in one village where there's these lumps in the cornfield, and they're growing corn on the corpses of dead Northern soldiers.
Jesus.
And I was with an ex-soldier from the South Sudanese Liberation Army, and he looked down at the dirt and he pulled a dead soldier's T-shirt out of the dirt and shook it in front of my face and threw it down in disgust and walked away from me, because he had actually been fighting there like in 1996 or 99. That's why he took me there.
To show you the field.
He said, my best friend died underneath that tree. He said, I was standing here shooting this way, throwing my ammo canisters behind me. And I said, would those be your ammo canisters right there? And he goes, yep, those are them. They're still there.
Wow.
And then the local farmers, he was Dinka, they were Dinka. And they came up and said, we want to show your Western friend our corn. They're very proud of it. So I said, absolutely. Yes, sir. We checked out the corn. And I said, let me take a big guess about what these lumps are where the corn's growing big. I said, graveyard? And he said, yeah. And that's when the soldier, whose name I'm not allowed to give out, we'll call him George. That's when George found something in the dirt and pulled out the T-shirt and stuck it in my face and said, the North, and threw it down and walked
You
away.
still has hatred for them.
Well, they were trying to
Yeah, for sure.
kill him
for sure.
and his family, and his stories will peel the paint off your car. At one point, him and his fellow child soldiers were so hungry they were eating the not-so-awful parts of a dead hippo, just scooping out the parts that weren't, too maggot-filled and eating it.
Damn.
Because they had to put something in their stomach.
Damn.
Yeah.
There was still a war going on when you were there?
No, but you walk through it. They were right about to have their
remnants.
elections, so I took photos of that. But you look down on the ground and there's like shell casings everywhere. There's like expended bullets, or bullets. Real bullets that just went through something and are on the ground. I came back with a fistful of them.
When you go on these trips, how do you stay away from? Well, you're not much of a boozer, are you?
Not at all.
Okay. How do you stay away from booze culture and still see the things you want to see? Is it just go to bed at night, or is it like?
Oh no! At my normal, say I'm in Hanoi.
Okay.
I'm out all day,
Yeah.
walking the streets, digging, meeting people, any museum, anything I can learn about the war, whatever. Hanoi is fascinating because it's the Christmas bombings where Nixon and Kissinger bombed Vietnam to the negotiation table, and it's a very interesting city to learn some Vietnam War history, or the American War as they call it there. So it's in the
From
north.
another side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Get the Vietnam War from the Vietnam perspective. I've been there 3 times to do that, and it is really worthwhile. It's heavy, and the people couldn't be nicer, but they're very happy to tell you how hard you got your ass kicked. Proof of which is, the hammer and sickle flags everywhere, and every third building is a poster of Ho Chi Minh on every wall. So didn't look like America won that persuasively, to me at least. I'm not trying to get in a bar fight in Montana. But what was I saying?
Talking about booze culture. And
Yes.
stay away from it.
So I'll be out all day, sweating, getting my photos, taking notes. I go back in the late afternoon, get in my workout, shower up, eat, and the rest of the evening is spent taking my notes and writing things up. I write for the LA Weekly, so I owe them an
really?
article once a week. I owe Rolling Stone Australia an article once a month. And I get asked to write. I just wrote a thing for Fringe for The Guardian, and I owe an article to The Australian. Like, I got to get on that this weekend. And so at night, I just write up the notes from the day and write in my journal. And so the rest of the evening is in the hotel, cafe, or bar with a cup of coffee writing, or listening to music and writing.
Okay.
But I never drink. Some nights in Southeast Asia, I like going out at night just because it's cool, temperature-wise.
Being a t-shirt and still sweating.
Yeah, but there's a whole nightlife, and nighttime in some African cities is cool, like Morocco, like Casablanca at night is really cool. Where I wouldn't go out in like Nairobi at night, because you might be rolling the dice. Nighttime in Cairo is intense.
And so what do you do? Did you wander the streets?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
no businesses are open other than
Bars,
houses of some
convenience
sort of-
stores,
Right.
gas stations, and some restaurants. If you're in a hotel neighborhood, T-shirt vendors, for Westerners. Like
those
in
places.
Cairo, it's all about the pyramids and a hotel and an airport. It's like Vegas. You can see the pyramids from almost any hotel because it's all about getting you there, getting you to the Giza pyramids, and getting you to the gift shop. It is what it is.
hate that stuff.
The rest of it's a sand in the Nile, which is that part of Egypt is super wide. It's amazing. So I will go out at night and walk around for a while and find a cool place to sit by a bottle of tea. Like in Thailand, I'm always outside at night, just walking around. Or anywhere in Southeast Asia, I'm always outside for like an hour at night. And then I go back, do my notes. And so my trips are a lot of photography, a lot of notes and writing, and museums and galleries and trying to get information. I'll rent a guide for 2 days and go, okay, every museum, and give me all the intel I should know.
Yeah.
And what I'm usually able to do is in an interesting country like in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. I rented a woman. I had a tour guide for 2 days, and two noon to 5 experiences. And by day 2, I had broken her. I break them all.
What do you mean? To trust you?
I just need the interesting information. I go, okay, your government has some very interesting things said about it on the internet. I want to know more. Well, sir, I'm really not. I can't. It's not. I go, I know, but it's Henry, and you know me. I've made you laugh. And so I want some deeper information. And in Mongolia, this one woman hooked me up with a guy from a group who's trying to push the government over. And she said, I told this guy about you yesterday. She said, I've never met anyone like you. They broke the mold on you, Henry. And you got questions. He has answers. So we're going to go out way out of town to like a spy outlaw bar where like ne'er-do-wells go. He doesn't speak English. I'm going to translate. And you're free to take notes, but you can't take photos. I said, okay. And I sat with this guy for 3.5 hours.
Pen and paper?
Yeah. And I took notes on their covert the stuff they've been doing, pushing this over, pushing that over, because their country's being sold out for mineral rights. And I learned some amazing stuff.
What are they trying to do? How does their plan?
The
How do you
country
overthrow a
is
government?
selling off their like copper, lead, titanium, all these mineral rights for a song. And this group is trying to unseat that government and bring it back to the people. And they are a radical group. They're not killing, but they are lighting stuff on fire. And I said, okay, no photos and no names. And we just shook. And by like day 3 in Lhasa, Tibet, I'd broken my guide. And I said, she said, my grandmother says that you would make a very good Buddhist. She wants to meet you and make you food and give you many blessings. And I said, well, can we go to your house so I can meet your grandmother? She says, no, Westerners aren't allowed because the Chinese don't want Westerners to see how we live. I said, okay, I need you to tell me real stuff. And she goes, okay, I'm going to tell you, whenever she wanted to give a word emphasis, she would make it plural. So she said, I'm going to tell you many's things. And she said, in Tibet, we are many sads, which just killed me because it's such a beautiful use of English. Many sads. And I said, will the Dalai Lama come back? And she said, no, he'll never. She almost started crying. She said, he'll never come back. We are many sads. And the Chinese are killing us. They're killing Tibet. And we would sit somewhere. She goes, okay, that's an undercover cop. There's another one. And you can start to pick them out. They have aviator shades on. And they stand by all the flagpoles. I go, why are they by the flagpoles? It says to make sure a radical doesn't shimmy up the pole and tear down the flag and put up a Tibetan flag.
Wow.
And she said, we're being killed. We're being killed. And they're not allowed to tell me this stuff. And almost any tour guide in these countries, like in Turkmenistan, I broke that woman in like an hour because she was a young university student. I said, okay.
She wants to talk.
Yeah. And I had the right questions. We're in a restaurant. I said, okay, those soprano-looking dudes who just got out of the SUV. They're mafia, right? She said, would you shut up? And they all looked up. I said, I'm going to take that as a yes. I said, what are they moving? They said, heroin, opium, because they're on the border with Afghanistan. I said, she said, for the locals, you'll just get killed for doing dope. But the president gets, everyone knows dope is moving through this country. And meanwhile, they let the soldiers and the Afghans shoot each other at the border for the appearances of like righteousness, but the drugs are moving and it's all good to go. And it's like Russian mafia, I forget, Serbia, I don't know. It's like, hard. And these guys were scary. And you can tell they're in there all the time.
They don't want you looking at them or talking to them.
They come in looking like, big leather jackets, loose pants, and they come out of a big SUV that's opened by some young guy, and they all come walking, and they sit down, and like the bottle hits the table, and
they just go hard.
You're like, I've been to Russia a bunch. You recognize these knuckleheads. You're like, it is what it is.
What is it with mafia where they just can't dress cool? Why can't they just have some fashion
They
sense?
just do what they want. Like when I was in Moscow the first time, when the Russian mafia was really rocking and rolling. It was a mafia hotel we were in, a mafia gig we did, and they park their new Range Rovers on the sidewalk. They leave the sticker in the window so you know it's new, and they just park on the sidewalk because it's their town.
Yeah.
Cops are bought off, military's bought off.
Damn.
Yeah, it was radical. I've been there a bunch of times now, but the first time was the most interesting because the mafia were just like in like full swing. Then eventually they started just shooting each other up, and the smart ones went corporate. They bought airports and hotels, MTV, whatever. The dumb ones just stayed on the street and just kept shooting each other.
Never advancing.
Well, the Wild West guys just all knocked each other out. The smart ones went into the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's why you get past the laws.
Like Michael Corleone, he went corporate, and the smart ones went corporate, and they're probably, owning hotel chains in Russia now. They're uber wealthy, but they went straight.
Yeah, that's what happened to Vegas, right? When Vegas was like this outlaw place, and like, let's just actually make money off tourists.
Yeah, and with a guy like Putin in office, and you're mafia, and you're acting out, you will get killed.
Right.
And they all knew it. When I think when he came to town, they all went, okay, fun under Yeltsin, but under Putin, we're all going to die.
Damn.
And he'll gleefully kill us all. And he will. He's the worst. I had a woman in Kazakhstan a couple of years ago defend Vladimir Putin to me.
Yeah?
And I just took it. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Under what?
She said he's better than Yeltsin because Yeltsin was just a drunk, and Russians love him. I'm like, okay. I go, what about the girls in Pussy Riot? She said, they got what they deserved.
Wow.
I went, okay. I still have to get out of the country. So you learn when to go smooth. Like when you're in North Korea and you're taking the tour, and they tell you how Kim Il-sung invented electricity and the solar system. You're like,
Invented the solar system.
Yeah, you're just like, invented solar system. Yeah, he invented water. Thanks for letting me know these amazing fun facts, and you just take it because you got to get back.
What are you going to do? Argue and then get in trouble?
You got to get back to Beijing. That's objective one. Is you got to get out. So don't argue.
Do you talk to expats in these places? The people who have lived there for a few years?
I've talked to expats in the UAE, like in Dubai, in Middle East. I've talked to some oil executive types who work for Saudi Aramco, and that's because a diplomat buddy of mine got me to Riyadh, because I met him in Cairo years ago, and I always kept in touch with him. And him and his wife, they are foreign service, and they rotate every 2 years to a different insane location. And they wrote me from Riyadh and said, hey, you want to visit us in Riyadh? We'll get you a family visa. I'm like, hell yeah, because it's really hard to get there as a citizen. Like, you'd have a insanely hard time getting there. In fact, I don't think you could do it. You need to be like oil person or diplomat or friend or relative of, and that's how I got in. In fact, the guy who got me my visa, he said, we've never seen one of these in this building. It's like second from the top. Who do you know? I said, well, a friend of mine is a diplomat. He goes, that's how you get this. Wow. He said, we knew you must have been somebody because we've never issued one of these. We've seen them, but we've never issued one. This was in L.A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're in these places, do you ever have flings?
No.
Never?
No.
Never like week-long romances or anything?
No. I've been hit on. I got hit on by where was I? I was in India, and a girl from somewhere met me in the breakfast room and just basically said, look, here's what we can do. And I said, no, that's cool. Because, she was pretty, but it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. But because you don't know what comes with it. Who knows? And with social networking being what it is, I get a lot of offers for fun.
Yeah.
But I'm 55 and a half. It would be a little silly, but that doesn't stop men and women.
You look great for 55.
From thank you. But that doesn't stop men and women from saying, hey, age appropriate, age inappropriate. I get all kinds of offers.
Yeah.
And that's been that way since I was 20. Rock and roll, whatever. But it still comes my way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of reasons to say no to that, lest you end up the topic of somebody's blog or...
it's a new world. It's kind of lame.
It's a new world. And you don't know what's being recorded. You don't know how you're being set up. And this is not conduct I would be indulging in 2016 anyway. Mm-hmm. But in LA all the time, I'm eating with my manager, and because we work in the same office. She's been working with me for 20 years. And we'll be somewhere eating lunch and having, doing business stuff. And she'll go, okay, we can't do any more business. I said, why? She said, one table behind us, the guy's recording us. Oh. And you look over and there's a guy like holding his phone. It happens all the time, or someone is listening or someone is taking photos. And that's the world where you're...
Especially if you're a celebrity.
Yeah. And with romance, there is no way you're meeting a nice gal in Buffalo and having a night of fun and frolic. There's no way she's keeping that to herself, because she, I don't know how cool she is or not cool, but she's going to tell a friend, and her friend's immediately going to post it. And there might
even
be
in Kazakhstan,
huh?
Even in a place like Kazakhstan or somewhere like that, where you meet someone where you're not really a celebrity.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But for me, none of that is worth the risk of myriad potential downsides. I've been extraordinarily lucky in my life. I've been to the deli tray many, many times. I have no questions on what can be done.
Yeah.
And it's all been really wonderful. But when I'm traveling, my priorities are all about getting information, getting great photos.
Yeah.
Like in Antarctica, you're on a boat full of scientists. Or when I was in Ecuador last year, I'm on a boat full of scientists, botanists, naturalists, learning about codependent ecosystems, biodiversity. I was in rainforest. I was on the Napo River. I'm taking notes. I'm working. I'm at these lectures, like on the boat on the way to the Antarctic Peninsula, learning about sea ice, katabatic winds. I'm getting information. I'm working, because it's all going to turn into articles. My next book, my next photo book. Meeting people is so low on meeting someone to frolic with is so low on my level of interest.
Do you make? Oh, on the other hand, then, do you make friends while you're gone, where you can stay in touch with them? Or still not even that?
Really. I'm always polite to everyone. And
for sure. You're
in an
super
enclosed
polite.
environment like a ship, it's like prison. Or imagine an airplane flight that lasts 8 days. You have to be cool, because your first impression, you never, if you're short with someone like, yeah, you never get that. You never undo that. That's a Gordian knot of what is perceived as disrespect. You'll never untangle it.
Right.
And so, on a ship, you sit at some table. So, Henry, what do? And someone will go, you don't know him? Sons of Anarchy? Or they'll say something. And you're like, and they'll go like, oh my God, I have seen you. And you go, yeah. And so now the rest of the dinner is going to be about you.
Damn.
And so what I do is I go, yeah, I get some interesting jobs. And I deflect. And I say, well, where are you two from? Oh, we're from Nebraska. I've been to Nebraska. That's very nice. And you just get it away from you. Otherwise, someone walks away going, God, all he did was talk about himself. No, all you do is ask me about me and what it's like to hang out with Will Smith on Bad Boys 2 or whatever. And I get asked all that. And so I am very much bouncing it away from me and not making the trip about me. But I get, every day you'll sit down at some table in the lunchroom and someone will go, so I saw you once in 1985. And you're like, okay. And all of that happens to me. And then the whole staff comes up and goes like, we knew you were coming on the boat. We're all fans. And, professionally, we're not allowed to acknowledge that. But, like, can we do photos later? I'm like, yeah, whatever you guys want, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not supposed. I go, no, I get it. I get it. It's cool. And
Sort of
eventually,
dehumanizing.
it just happens. And so in those enclosed environments, that's almost a guarantee. And those who don't know who you are, by Saturday they do.
Really?
Yeah, and they'll say, like, so someone yesterday told me that you've been in some films. What might I seen you in? You're like, okay. And you give them the most abbreviated
Give
version.
all your credits until they're like, yes, that's it.
Well,
You're like,
you
"Damn
just,
it."
because I'm not interested in making anything about me
No, for sure.
in those situations. You have to see these people every day. So just be as insanely cool as possible. And I've been on boats for like long periods, the Nile or whatever. And there's a real ethic to it. Just be real. Like, you never go into politics. And these boats I was on, they're talking about the election the Americans were. And the Brits always like to chime in, of course. Everyone has an opinion about American politics because it's Duck Dynasty. It's bad reality TV, right? And they go, so, Henry? I'm like, I just want everyone who can vote to vote. Who they vote for is
That's smart.
really not my business.
That's smart.
Because it's just not, it's that submarine thing. One of the things you
Never
don't
talk
discuss.
about politics with anybody.
Yeah,
It's
especially
pointless.
in these quarantined and enclosed, you're in a capsule for a week and a half.
So to hate you.
Just be neutral, be Switzerland, as Bill Maher once said.
I used to, when people ask me what I did, I used to tell them I was an independent contractor. So it wasn't
You're
a
not
full
lying.
lie. Yeah.
You're not lying.
And that way,
I
want to get into it.
When we get into these countries that, you and I go to, any tourist, any traveler, you have to put down occupation.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago when I was doing music all the time, I would just write down music, not even musician, I was writing music. Now I no longer do music. And so I always hesitate. I go, what should I put down? Writer? Well, I do write, but I wouldn't call myself a writer. And sometimes I'll just write down radio, because I do have a radio show, or I'll just put down actor. But that adds at the customer, you're an actor? What have I seen you in? You're like, okay, never again. So I just write down radio. So I can say KCRW, National Public Radio. They go to sleep.
I got boring.
They can't even stamp your passport. They're so busy falling asleep in front of you. You say National Public Radio, they're like, all right, enough. And they let you in. But it's true. I have a show on NPR.
I love how you turn on NPR and it's just like that local, whatever they're called, where they talk about like paving a street, like the city council meetings. You're
We're
just
going
like,
to
I love
talk to
listening
a
to that.
bookbinder today for 7 hours, and we're going to teach you how to bind a book on your own. Like, yay! It must be NPR. Yeah, and so I'm 55 and a half. As the years go on and my body hurts more and more, travel becomes more and more important to me, because I have more years behind me than ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I seek to live in a more legendary fashion. I work at it. And this sounds like, chutzpah, but it's true. I make a very conscious effort to live a fascinating life. I work at it. We're like, okay, 6 weeks off. I don't want to sit at home. And the only thing I miss about Los Angeles is my records, where I can put on a record and listen to it. I miss that. And I'll be back for 48 hours soon, and I know the exact records, all these new records that have just come out since I've been gone. I know exactly what I'm going to listen to, because I got like at least 5 hours on Monday to do some good listening, and already got it lined up. Otherwise, I'm going to be gone from my turntable till December when I start a long run at Largo. And so,
What do you listen to?
what am I going to listen to? The new Dinosaur Jr., the new OC's record.
He's still making music?
Dinosaur
Jim
Jr.,
Mascis?
better than ever.
Really?
The new album is called Give a Glimpse of What You're Not, and it is so good. I've had an advanced copy for a while, but not the vinyl, and it is so good. Love those guys. Saw them 7 times last year. Anyway.
Really?
if say I have like 6 weeks off next year, like whatever, pick a month, any month.
Yeah.
I will take that 6 weeks and go, what is the most interesting, mind-blowing thing I can put myself through in that time? Oh, look, there's scuba diving off this south coast of China. Book it, because I'm certified for 180 feet and nitrous in my cylinder. So I said, oh, that would be a potential trip I'd make next year. Or a buddy of mine, he's a dive instructor. He takes groups all over the world. I'd call Ron and go, Ron, June 1st through the end of the month, are you guys going anywhere cool? We're going to the Galapagos. I'm in.
And if he says no, nothing, then you're like, next thing off the list?
I said, man, then when do you do have something interesting? Well, in November, we're going to go to, okay, man, I'll be back in touch with you.
All right.
And then I'll call Rita, the travel agent. Okay, June, July. She goes, okay. I go, New Guinea? She goes, nope, rainy season. I go, okay. I go, what do you suggest? She goes, okay, well, you've been to Kuala Lumpur? I go, no. She goes, all right. This Malaysia, if you've never spent much time in Malaysia, it's a cool part of the year. Or I let her make a suggestion. But usually I have my own. I go, and like 2 years ago, I had November and part of December off. And I said, Central Asia, because I've been promising myself Central Asia for a while. I'm fascinated by that part of the world. And so I did a month in Central Asia, and I'd book it. She goes, all right, here's all your stats. Get a good, have a safe trip.
Do you get tips from people, like either on Twitter or just in life, like, oh, I went to this tomato festival.
Oh, you should have met the people on the boat in Antarctica. Every day you have lectures and meetings, and they go, okay, everyone, we made landfall today. Everyone put their foot on and the continent.
Damn.
So hands up for everyone who's been to all 7 continents. Out of like 60 people or whatever it was, maybe 2 hands didn't go up. And you have dinner with some old South African guy who now lives in Brazil, and his stories of travel peel the paint off yours. Like, he took my travel stories and put them into a ball of paper as big as a gum wrapper and flicked it across the room. I said, so, the Middle East. He goes, oh, my friend, in 1975, I rented a motorcycle, and we went from, from Kabul to, and you're like, you are killing me. and these guys have travel stories. Like, we were in Mongolia for 2 months, and we were choppered into this, we're the sheep herders, and we hiked the steppes for 6 weeks, followed the sheep, and we lived in these yurts, and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you'll just find you get great ideas because you're traveling with master travelers, like husbands and wives. They save their money in every other year, and they've been married for like 40 years, like some nice couple from New Hampshire. And you meet them, and they go, well, we could go out every year, and we're going back for our 6th trip to China, and we go into the lands, like, 500 miles out of Beijing, and we know this guy, and we'll send you his address. He'll hook you up, and he'll show you things you'll never see. And you're like, and I do write these people, and I do keep in touch with them. I'm like, I want that hookup.
Because they can give you life.
Yeah, and like we went to 5 trips. We finally found the right guy. He's amazing, and he'll take you. He'll set you up with an airplane, and you're going to fly like 4 hours this way, and there's a runway, and you're going to live with these, miners for a week, and here's his number, and I follow up. Because they've gone 4 times, they finally found the right guy, and I want to take that trip. And then I have this amazing travel agent. She got me to North Korea. She gets people into crazy places where they fly you in and leave you for 2 weeks and pick you up, and you spend your time with like sheep herders or a bunch of monks at the top of a mountain in, wherever. And these are trips that I want to do all of it. There's not one of those trips I don't want to take.
Live with sheep herders.
Yeah, man. Or
Fuck
there's
yeah.
one trip you can take, apparently, where you can take the salt trail in, is it like Mali or Egypt, where it's like a 20-day trek, and these guys move salt.
Yeah.
They move a ton of salt on camel, and you can either go on the back of a camel, which will break you in half, or you can walk next to the camel, but you can pay money and you can go. And they kind of act as Sherpas because you're going to go through a lot of water. You're going to be puking, and apparently it's really gnarly. I just don't know if I have the physical shape to do it at 55 and a half. But there's trips like that where, yeah, we're going to leave you in a place for 3 weeks and you're going to get to point B and there'll be another plane to pick you up. And there's trips you can take like that. There's a woman I know, friend of my manager. She does like 3 of those a year because she's got unending amounts of money,
Stamina.
like literally gajillions of dollars. And she has done pretty much the entire book of those trips.
Wow.
Where she's like, hung out with like the yak herders and all of that in Mongolia for a month and done all that crazy stuff. I want to do all of it. There's not one of those trips that doesn't interest me. There's not one river that I haven't been on that I don't want to go on.
Do you see yourself from the outside looking in and being like, that guy's cool?
No.
You know?
I just acknowledge myself as a total maniac
Yeah.
who doesn't, I don't care when I die. And I'm just looking to do really amazing things until it's over. What else is there to live for? I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife.
For you.
I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not putting it down. It's just never been, I never had the chip for that. And so I have the means. I can do it.
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you had dough, like you see these guys, these like Wall Street day traders with like, $25 million a year and they never leave Manhattan. I go, really, man? I'd have a house on every continent except for maybe Antarctica. But like in Antarctica, I was rolling
With
with
cheap real estate there.
Huh?
Probably cheap real estate there. If you want
You'd be
it.
damaging a beautiful part of the world.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some bases there where they do weather research and stuff. And there's an alliance I made with a staffer on the ship. It's a geologist. And this is what he does for 14 years. He lives down there part of the year and, takes people on tours, but he researches it. He's a brilliant geologist. And I hung out with him every day because after the lecture's over, I'm the one with 80 questions in my steno pad. I wore him out, but he loved it. And we still email each other, and he sends me all kinds of interesting articles because I'm genuinely interested. I want to talk to him at some point and go, look, can you hook me up so I can spend 6 weeks at the like McMurdo base, in Antarctica? I will pay. Like I'm not looking for free. I want a bunk, and I want to pay for my chow. I want to pay for my showers, and I want to stay out of the way. I know I'll be sitting in a Quonset hut 23 hours a day. I get it, but I want to do it.
Yeah.
Or there's that documentary on the people who live, I think, in the Arctic for the dark part of the year, and they just do it. They stay. It's like 6 months of darkness.
They get those glasses that...
Well, it's the Northern Lights. It's, the Aurora Borealis and some insanely minus. And they do the entire cold part of the year. And there's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Arctic something. And I saw that and I asked my travel agent, I said, is there any way I can just pay? Because there's people, they run convenience stores. They run the bowling alley or whatever. Yeah. I said, can I just pay money and live in the people who live there all in the warm part of the year, like rent a bunk or rent someone's apartment or their room.
Get the people who leave.
And rent it from them, timeshare basically, fly there via whatever, and just pay for my meals, pay for whatever it costs, showers, and do 6 months in this part of the world where you walk outside for 3 minutes and you're dead. I want to do it just to see what would happen, what the writing would be like, and what the life experience would be like. And she said, you would do all those months just for that? I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. And so there's lots of things like that I would like to do, some very extreme travel. Like you will live alone for 6 months in this cabin, and
It would do something to you, I think. Because after like a few days, you'd be like, I can't handle this. And after like 2 weeks, you'd be like, now it's a new moment.
right.
Now it's a
And
new
after
thing.
3 months, you'd be, okay, I've lost my mind and recovered it 3 times. And I'm really tempted to pick up that sat phone and pay for
Get
a
out of here.
helicopter to get me out, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to see him in the spring. If there's things like that available to a citizen like me, I am willing to take it. I just thought I recognized that guy walking by. It looked like Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth, but it's not.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprising to see him here. But that's the kind of travel I'm up for now. Weird isolation and extreme conditions fascinate me. And there's another trip in Antarctica one can take. I'm looking to take it a year from this November. It's the trip I just took with an extra few weeks tacked on to the beginning, where you go through the South Georgian islands and you see the emperor penguins, the big ones. Because I was talking to the crew of the ship, and I said, I got to do this again. They said, Henry, you're so curious. You really need to come back on this ship. We're not looking for your money. We're just saying, come at a different time of year. Like if you come in December, like all the breeding penguins you saw, you'll see the chicks hatching out.
Oh, wow.
Like all the snow you saw, it'll be mud. All the water you saw, it'll be full of whales. Like you come back here in a month and all this changes. Like come back in a year, but come in December and you'll see the same places, but everything will be different. And they said, and if you want, there's a longer trip we do, like every other time or whatever. We do the South Georgian islands, and the trip where you got on the boat, that's just a stopover. And it's like 3 or 4 weeks on this boat, and you'll get your mind blown with everything you'll see, but it's a big commitment and it's not cheap.
Must give you respect for. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I said, I'll see you on that.
Damn.
There's no way I'm not doing it. And I'm looking for that in 2017.
This must give you respect for nature, saying stuff like this.
I've never done eco travel before until last year, where I wanted to learn more about where my food comes from. And it was a combination of things. And one of the things that led me to going on the Napo River, a tributary of the Amazon, to learn about biodiversity and see all the freshwater dolphin, and really try and get my head around some basic concepts of biodiversity and codependent ecosystems, was learning to scuba dive and going face up with sea lions and fish, because you look at them and they look at you too. They totally check you out. They come right up to your mask and they're curious. And the sea lions are very curious for a minute, then they get bored of you and they swim off. And I said, okay, this is blowing my mind. I want to know more. And I usually don't go for flora and fauna trips because, a tree, I'm not dissing it, but I want cities.
Fish.
I want bullet casings. I want to see where turmoil was. I want to go to a country where there's an election. I want to see urban stuff. That's my interest. But last year I said, I want to do travel I've never done. And Heidi said to me, she said, you never go to South America. You go everywhere else. You got to start going to South America. I said, you know what? You're right. And so I started going to last year I was in South America a bunch. In Chile and Argentina, Ecuador, which is so beautiful. Quito up in the mountains. Forget it. It's incredible. You're jammed up in the Andes. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Really? South America is a place I want to go to.
The people are so friendly, it almost spoils you. You come back to America, wherever it's like, what's up, bitch? Here's your food, wham. Where, you do a month of hola, you're like, why leave? Yeah.
There's this neon sign on the Cowgate at some bar. It's a quote. I don't know who said it, but it's not all who wander are lost. And
yeah. Well, as David Lee Roth once said to me, and I don't know where he got it from. He said, let me see if I can get this right in one take. A traveler doesn't know where he's going. A tourist doesn't know where he is. Where, I go to these countries and I'm like, so what are you going to do today? That way.
Yeah.
What's there? I don't know, man. I got to travel to find out. Like, what's this city like? I'll tell you after I get out of there, hopefully with all my fingers and toes.
My friend and I were in Chiang Mai, and we were standing on this alley. We couldn't decide what was down there, if it fed out or something. There was a falafel stand at the beginning of it, and went further, and we kept looking at it. Like, should we go down there, or should we continue on this road? And some other random guy comes by, and he goes, you're just going to regret not going in. You may as well see it. We're like, you're right, dude. Yeah. You're right. Let's just go.
There's only been a few streets in my life I've not gone. Usually, I'm walking alone with, some pro camera gear in my hand. And I get to the edge of a street, and I'm like, and I gut check it. I'm like, okay, the gut's saying like, south of good. So of course I go. And so my strategy is, if you're going into a slum, you don't know what's around the corner. So I go with my camera away. So if anyone's lining me up to take that camera and they're waiting for me to come out, because usually there's one road in and out, so they know they're going to see me in half an hour,
Right.
and they're going to be ready. I take my photos on the way out, like a guy backing out of a bank. Stick them up.
So they don't get a beat on you and what you got?
Yep. You play poker, and I'm not trying to say, oh, they all want your money, but I'm one skinny guy, and I'm not looking to defend myself with a guy with a knife. I don't have some karate move. And so, but most of the time people are like super friendly, like, come in, meet my family. I'm like, all right. And so I go in, and on my way out, I've already like seen the lay of the land. You know, I'm looking at photo ops. I'm dialing in f-stop settings in my head. I'm like, okay, sun will be down. I'm going to bump up the ISO. I'm already getting my manual dialing ins for the shot on my way back, and I make my move on the way out.
Wow. Yeah. What is it about that type of person, that type of traveler who is like, what makes them that? The one who's like, I got to see shit.
I don't know, but I've always had it. And I always love the idea, because I'm on stage like this year, 150 shows in 19 countries. I don't do comedy. Sometimes what I say is funny.
Yeah, I would disagree
but I'm
with
not
that. But
writing stuff to be funny. I'm telling you something that happened in Iran, and a lot of it was funny, and some of it was really sad, or poignant, or relevant, or interesting. And so I need to be able to go on stage and blow minds.
And draw
I need to
something.
be able to say, because I don't have, hey, you know, my dog said, I don't have any of that. And I'm not putting comedians down. I wish I had that talent. What I have is insane world travel stories. And so this year's a tour year. 150 some shows. I've been out since December of last year. And
well,
it finishes
150 something shows?
well, I'm about 50 in. I have another 100 to go.
Damn.
And in 19 countries. And I get
Wow.
back on Sunday from here, and I'm already 15 in. And so I'm going to go, in 2 days, I get home, I'm going to go right to New Zealand for shows, a month in Australia, then to South Africa, and then America till the end of the year, and then up into Canada till like Jan 10, and then I'm out. The tour's over, and then I'll be back in Hollywood begging for work during pilot season. And, you know, weekend dates, you know, as we do, fly out, fly back. But this is the big year for touring. And I do one of these big world tours like every few years. And the last time was 190 shows, which is what I prefer. So I only got 150 this time around.
Get everything in at once and then build up a new material in the next year.
Exactly. And so in the off years, I'm traveling, gathering new stuff to trot out on stage. I'm getting information. I'm letting the information steep, getting the wisdom from the story. So it's not just sheer reportage. Like, you go to Central Asia, you see a bunch of mosques and madrasas. But 2 weeks after you come back, you start thinking like, well, what's the lyric in the story? Where's the poetry? What's the thing of it? Who's trauma? Human trauma and cultural crisis. Because what Genghis Khan's Mongols didn't level in the beginning of the 13th century, like 1220 something, the Mongols came and like leveled Central Asia, just crushed it.
Uh-huh.
Then, you know, the Chinese came in, the Arabs came, all these people came in and the Arabs came in and gave them Islam. And then the Soviets came in and shut down the madrasas and the mosques and screwed those people up. And then in 1991, all those countries got their independence. You go through all these cities, there's Islamic writing, Arabic, there's Latin, you know, English or European, French, and then there's Cyrillic, Russian. And I ask these guys, you can't get through Central Asia without a guide. You just can't get the border crossings are really... You'd have to pay a lot of money. Hey, I really need to go there here. And so you need someone to finesse the crossings. Otherwise, it's just too spread out. You need to rent a car. Everything is 100 miles distance. So you need a guide. Also, you can learn.
To tell you who to bribe, too.
Huh?
To tell you who to bribe, too. You can't, let's say you're trying to get into America. It's tough to bribe an official there.
Right.
You have to know who and where.
But in
guess.
Central Asia, without a guide, there's no way I would have seen all the things I saw. But after 2 weeks of reflection, after seeing those cities, I asked the guy, I'm like, well, wait a minute, what are you guys? Are you products of Soviet overreach? Is this an Islamic country? What are you guys? And one sharp guide said, we're figuring that out. And so when I talk about that trip on stage, I talk about the fragility of our species and how easy it is to traumatize a person. Like if you and I were 6 years old and I was the bully and I called you whatever, you'd remember me. You remember that beating. You remember that humiliation until you're 50. It might even inform why you do stuff. I'm thoroughly energized by the humiliations of third grade. That totally charges me. And so we humans, we remember stuff. You molest us, we stay molested. You beat us up, we stay beat up. That's therapy and PTSD for the rest of your life. You traumatize a culture, it goes into the DNA, and their kids are traumatized. And 2 generations later, they don't even know why they're screwed up because there's no context. They're just in this weird atmosphere. And that's what the takeaway of Central Asia was. And that's what I'm taking to the stage. Not this mosque, because they're all beautiful.
Right.
It's the fragility of Homo sapiens. And what I learned about Central Asia, I need to be nicer to you. I need to be better to every stranger I meet because we're really fragile creatures. I'm fragile. You're fragile. We're neurotic too. We're just too many thoughts. We're too smart. We're too fast to uptake and process to not be nuts. And there's no person in the world who's so tough that they can't be broken to tears by an interrogator, by their mom.
Yeah.
And so, like you see those gangsters on the first 48, some hard guy, and I didn't kill anybody. The mom goes in, baby, you need to tell the truth. The guy breaks down and confesses the whole thing because his mama came in and said, I'm sorry, mama.
It's set in.
And mama said, tell the truth. And the detective comes in, something you want to tell me? He goes, yeah, man, I did it. Because mama went in there for like a minute and said, damn it, tell it. And so anyone can be broken. And from Central Asia, I learned no matter how decent I am, I've got work to do. I need to upgrade. I need to be even better. And that's what I tell people at the shows this year. I said, in my country, if Trump wins, there's going to be lines coming out of Starbucks because all the liberals will need triple lattes and more wine and more sex, and they're just going to have existential crises because an idiot now runs America. If Clinton wins, there'll be lines coming out of Walmart because everyone's buying more ammo and more booze and more bad food. I said, it doesn't matter who wins. It's going to be a really rough country to live in because one half is going to be pissed. And I'd rather the left side get pissed because they drown it out with wine, drugs, and coffee, where the other side drowns it out with bullets
and violence,
and fighting and beating up people like me. And so, but it doesn't matter. Half the country is going to be pissed.
It's a fucked one.
It's a bad one.
Yeah.
And I've been saying to my American audiences this year, in February, I did some American shows around my birthday, but all the big American tours this autumn. But I did a handful in the Midwest. And I said, whatever happens in November, you're just going to have to be an amazing person. Because we shall not overcome. This country will not overcome. We've proven it. We don't want to. We are not interested. You are. I am. But we're not. Because we've had so many chances from 1865, the end of the Civil War, to make it better. And we've dodged every opportunity. Failing. We don't want it. Big business doesn't want it. Our corporatized democracy doesn't want it. Our money comes from weapons delivery systems, and incarceration. And so what gets in the way of all that is equality, education, peace, and prosperity. And so we don't want that. And that's why what goes on in back rooms is now happening in the streets, where this kids get shot by cops and everyone goes, that sucks. And it just keeps happening. And it's Jim Crow. It's institutionalized racism. And that's what happened when you got the 13th Amendment, abolished slavery in 1865. In 1868, you got the 14th Amendment, making equal protection the law of the land, where the rich guy has the same rights as the barista at the coffee place. All equal protection. What did you get out of that? Jim Crow laws. The Klan exploding in numbers. And so our country is not interested in progress. You had an amazing president for 8 years. He got hardly anything done.
Yeah.
What he did get done, because he's a triple-level chess player who managed to nuance his stuff through Congress, and they howled and moaned. That's why he got fractured healthcare. They got the worst possible version of that thing.
God.
It's like pulling an elephant through a keyhole. They got it through, but look at the elephant. The thing is all scarred up. It sucks because these people operate on inequality. That's where their bread is buttered.
So they have to make stuff fit into the unequal levels.
That's where the money is. Because if you let everyone who's smart in on the stock market thing, that guy's not making $20 million a month anymore. He's only making 18. He can't live without the other two because he has to have it because, freedom. And so what I learned about Central Asia is hardly even about Central Asia. It's about the human race. And so that's why I travel to these places so I can come back with a story that sounds like some prismatic, weird non sequitur, some ricochet off where I've been. Like, what did India teach me the times I've been there? That humanity is beautiful even when it's dipped in its own fecal matter. When you see a body on a funeral pyre on fire, you watch it for like an hour to watch some old dude burn, which I've done a few times. You just go, well, it's just life. It's just death. Nothing to trip on. Because the family's watching Grandpa burn. They're not crying. They're not tripping. They'll see him later. They'll see him in another life. They're not even sweating it. As a Westerner, you're like, that guy's on fire. Damn. They're looking at you like, tourist.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's just life. And this is the wisdom of travel. Because you can't get this from a documentary. Because you can't smell it. You can't get it from a book. Because you're not walking over it. My first day in India, I saw 9 dead people. I went into a funeral home.
Oh.
I saw a dead person getting walked down the street, and I smelled smoke, and I see a dead guy on a pile of wood, so I'm going in here. And there's a line of little grandmas and grandpas, shriveled old people on the floor, covered in flowers. Not just a body, just all wrapped up, ready for the cremation. And the family is gently moving grandma and grandpa up the line to the oven because they can't afford the outdoor. And then I hear arguing, 2 men haggling at the front of the line. So I go to the front of the line. I'm just some Westerner, I'm sneaking around. And there's the owner of the funeral home and the relative of the deceased. And they are standing on either side of a dead woman, little old lady on the ground, arguing about the price, haggling over the price of the incineration.
What?
They come to an agreement. Rupees are exchanged. The oven door opens. Without any ceremony, Grandma goes in, closed the door, and the guy said, visiting? I said, yeah. He said, come, my friend, I want to show you something. He took me behind the oven, because it's his brand new oven, with a digital readout. And he was so proud of the digital readout. He's like, 640 degrees or whatever. I'm like, okay, duly noted. That's intense. And I've seen burnings in India, in Bhutan, in Thimphu, Bhutan. And it's edifying to spend all afternoon watching the monks do their 2-hour prayer where they're blowing through horns made of human thigh bone, and then they light the wood on fire and the cloth surrounding the body. So the first few minutes it's fluffy white smoke, and then it gets to thin oily smoke, and you hear crackling and popping, and that's the body, that's the lean tissue burning, that's the fat. It's just meat. What else is a human body?
Smells like a barbecue?
It smells like flesh. Because the wind comes your way, you're like, that's 4 people. It is what it is. All the dogs show up. It's not cruel and unusual. It's how they groove in Bhutan. And I was with a guy named Yaon Ten, who was my guide. So I said, thank you for letting me see this. It's a pretty heavy event. And without any emotion whatsoever, he goes, yeah, we cremated my father and that one on the left. And I said, oh, damn, man, I'm so sorry to have brought you back here. He said, why would you be? It's cool. We don't sweat death. I'm happy that you got to see this. Would you? It's such a non-Western idea. I was so sorry. I thought I'd been rude to drag him back to this place where they...
Almost on level, like my dad went to high school there.
Right.
Just
and
like...
exactly. And he thank you. He tossed it off that casually. Yeah, well, we cremated my father and the one on the left. I went, okay. He said, it's getting dark. We need to hike through the mud to get back to the parking lot. We should go. Okay. I took photos all day. The photos are amazing of fires and smoke and dogs and people. And
How many of these books have you put out?
I've written and published over 25 books. I've been writing
Photo books?
No, one photo book. The next one's done. But I've been publishing books of mine since the 80s.
Wow.
I'm in translation all over the world. I've sold hundreds of thousands of books. One of my books, the audio version, got a Grammy.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no,
That's so cool.
Believe it or not, some people actually consider me a writer. But it started by just living on the road. I was in a band called Black Flag, and I lived on the road, and I would see stabbings and undercover cops at our shows, crazy stuff. And I was like 21 going, wow. I started buying those tablet notebooks at the drugstore for $2. Started writing it all down. And then I read Henry Miller, who made me think that I could write too. He's like, hey, I'm living in France. I was with this whore last night and I'm drunk. And you read Bukowski, another
for sure.
amazing writer, and they both make you think. It's a sucker punch. They make it look so easy. Well, he's just writing about his life. And then you try and do it and you see how damn hard writing is. Like you see how wickedly talented Bukowski and Miller were when you try and, I'm just going to write real stuff. It's like acting. Oh, I'm just going to say the words on the script. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's way more than that. And writing is way more than just writing down what you see and feel. I'm writing it so you're going to read it and get the same wallop that I got. That's the magic. That's what gives you your F. Scott Fitzgeralds and everyone else.
How to lead someone up to something and feel the emotion, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why those writers are so famous, and that's why there's 80 million books that are just dire crap, because a lot of men think they can write.
Yeah.
You know, if you sit at it long enough, you will make a manuscript 4 inches thick. You will like, damn it, it's a lot of words. I must be a writer. I used to think like that until I met Hubert Selby, the great writer, author of Last Exit to Brooklyn. And he used to read my books, and when he liked it, he liked it. When he didn't like it, he would tell me that too. Oh, yeah.
Good.
So I think he saw something in me. But he goes, you got to get your balls out of the way. All you young guys, you put your balls in front of the writing, get your ego out of the way of the story. Stop trying to look good. I'm like, damn, thank you. I never forgot that. He goes, tell the story. Don't talk about you. Let the story come through you. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, coddling is the worst thing you can do for someone.
For anybody. It's how you lose a race. It's how you lose the Olympics. It's how you get killed. It's how you don't bring all your soldiers back from a mission. It doesn't help anyone.
So you guys are trained enough. I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, no, it'll be cool. You know, the valley's gentle. It's peaceful. No, your writing's great. Oh, no, your new album is fantastic. You know, your A&R guy should tell you, your new songs suck. You guys really need to stop arguing and get to work.
I see it happen to comedians all the time, where people will be like, no, it was a bad crowd. It was a bad crowd. And I'm like, don't tell them that.
Yeah,
you're just killing them.
You're going to kill him. And if that guy had a shred of hope, you're going to help him self-immolate, because he won't understand. He won't see it when it hits him because you didn't help him. He won't know to look right, and he's going to get run over.
Yeah.
Because you should have told him your material's average, but you're better than your material,
Right.
so get to work. That's why a lot of musicians fail. They get that group around them.
The yes men's.
So yeah,
Those people telling them how
they
great
get
they are.
paid to go, man, that was a great show tonight.
Man,
Well, why are
it's
the reviews
stupid.
so bad? Hey, man, they don't understand you, man. They don't understand you.
Well, yeah, with those, then you can never look inwards. You got to be like, they're all idiots, no matter what.
The critics said I was lame when I face planted and passed out on stage. Hey, they don't understand. You're under a lot of stress.
I was punk rock.
Yeah, it wasn't the heroin. It's the stress. Yeah, no BSing anyone. The only reason you do it is to, like, it would be a Sun Tzu strategic move. You weaken your enemy so you can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, your music is great. So you can, like, take his management and, take his woman next year. It's how you win the fight. You go, oh, my arm hurts. Wham, and you just hit the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sun Tzu wrote the book, The Art of War.
Yeah.
Feign weakness, and when your opponent lowers his guard, you kill him.
That's another level.
But it's one of the many things he teaches you in his book. It's called the Japanese Wall Street Trader book. It's how the Japanese trade. That's their Bible for trading.
Really?
Is
the Art of War?
Art of War. Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun book. It's skinny. You can fit it in your breast pocket. It's a tiny little read. It's like Machiavelli. It's dense, but it packs a punch.
You ever get that red book in China, the quotes of Mao?
No.
Oh, I got what small one, and you leaf through it, and there's some good ideas in there, man.
Mao is intense. I'm no expert, but he was a radical dude,
Yeah.
and he put his followers through a whole lot. China's worth going to. I've been there a bunch of times. It's trippy. I'm no expert on it. I've not traveled it much. I've just been to Beijing and Shanghai a bunch.
Yeah.
And I really want to get out into it someday. But Beijing is an amazing city. It's fascinating and psychedelic in its strangeness. It's just so weird. It's just so like these 16-lane wide streets. Just
And then two blocks over, there's the hutongs. They're like, what is this? There's not even parallel streets. Like,
Yeah.
how do they go?
yeah, there you can get lost easily. I always stay in a hotel about 4 blocks from Tiananmen Square. It's a Raffles. It's a good Asian chain, and I know the manager. When I use Beijing as a hub, like when I went to North Korea, I didn't go with my laptop, and he puts it all in his office. So John is his name. John's hooked me up more than once, and I've kind of used his hotel as kind of a launch pad to go
you go
to
back
places
there?
and come back and use Beijing as the place, the hub to go up to Mongolia and back, North Korea and back, where I pass through Beijing and go to the Raffles and use that hotel. You know, I give him business and he looks out for me. I give him a backpack of stuff. I go, look, here's like a bunch of clothes and food. I just can't take it to North Korea. I don't know if I'm going to get out of it. He goes, I'll put it in my office next to my door. It'll be safe.
That's
I said,
great.
Thank you. And he looked after like my other camera body and other lenses, like tons of stuff.
Do you try to stay offline when you go to these places, or do you like go
No,
check
I can't.
stuff?
I can't. I'm responsible to hand in things.
Right.
It's tricky. Like Google.ch is a tricky browser to maneuver. Being in any Central Asian country where they do censor the internet, like in Turkmenistan, I stupidly tried to look up the human rights records of Turkmenistan and was kicked off the internet for 15 minutes. They put you in the penalty box.
Really?
Yep. Anytime you look for anything.
Hey, dumbass, not here.
Yep. They go,
Yeah.
nope. And they will literally go block site, block site, block site. And I tricked them. I was able to find information on Turkmenistan by going to a Southeast Asian newspaper that had a report. So I went through their newspaper and got to the article. And somehow was able to, wear the glasses with the fake nose and mustache.
the E version of that.
And I had to. I did a feature for Time Out UK, and it was a photo thing, so they wanted my photos and me writing about it. But I was in Beijing, and I had to get out of the hotel. There's a frozen yogurt place. Free internet. They left their internet thing on, so I'm hiding in a parking lot so the cops don't roll by because they're going to come right up to me because I'm lit with a laptop. It's like 4 a.m. And I'm sneaking out of Google.ch to America. I forgot how I did it. Through AOL, like using AOL.com as a laundromat, and laundered my images like out of China through America to the UK. And I'm just totally Radio Shacking this because I'm a Luddite, and it worked. And it took like 10 minutes per photo, but I was on deadline, and I had not counted on China not allowing me to send these images. And I was like, okay. And I did it. The sun started coming up. I'm like, okay, my bones were aching. I'm like, oh, too old for this. But this life I have out in the world. And I have an identity out here. I'm this traveler guy. I understand myself out here. I've earned my familiarity with cities. Like when I'm in Melbourne, I know exactly the restaurants I like. When I'm in Tokyo, I know where I want to go. I know all my favorite neighborhoods in Dubai because I earned it. I've been there enough times. I went out on the streets. I like having that Mark Twainian, worldly, global perspective. I live for that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
There you got it, man.
How should people find you? HenryRollins.com?
HenryRollins.com always finds me.
You can find all your writing and stuff through that?
I'm sorry?
You can find all your writings and stuff through that?
They can find, all my books are on our website for sale. And I always have new books. There's like 4 I'm working on simultaneously. And next year there'll be minimum 1, but probably 2 books out in 2017. Wow. So I'll have the time to edit. The books are done. I just got to edit.
Yeah.
And I only edit with Heidi, who manages me. We edit together. We've been doing it for years. I don't edit without her. So
you trust her? You know how to work with her well?
She knows my brain very well. So I do the first edit typos and big awful sentences. I get that out of the way, and she and I do the second draft, and then another woman named Carol does the third draft, looking for typographical errors like commas and periods on the wrong sides of quotation marks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your tour schedule's up there too?
All the tour dates are up, and I'm open for business, so come to the show.
Hell yeah. I've wanted to see it. We're overlapping. My early shows at the same time as yours. I've been wanting to see it for a while because Blake is like, I can get your tickets, let me know when. But
yeah, I know. We
like,
could have guest listed you for any of that.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing a bunch of shows at Largo in December, so just talk to Matt or go to my site. You'll see all of them, and like 6 of them
I
are
think in
sold
December is when
out.
I'm going to go see the world.
Huh?
I think December I'm going to be
Okay, then
going
you're
to see
out.
the world.
But if something blows out and you want to go, I'll be there like starting December 7 for like a week.
Okay.
So and just ask Matt. He'll guest list you for any of those shows, even if they're sold out.
Dude, you killed on my show.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun show.
You did great. I know you didn't want to be in that place, but you did great.
Once I'm on stage, I don't care where I am. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
But everyone was nice to me. Ron White, that's the guy's name. He was very nice to me. He watched me and he came up afterwards and said, "Man, that was great." I said, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
So I've always liked that guy. He's a funny dude. But yeah, that was a fun show. Thanks for letting me, be part of the gang for a night.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's awesome.
Well,
All
thanks.
Right. Thanks, Henry.
Got it.
Boom, boom, boom. That's it, you guys. That's the episode. That's the episode. Good episode. I know. It was a long intro. Yeah, good episode. Man, I'm glad I did that. Glad I did that with him. So cool that he was able to fucking come and sit with me and tell me all that stuff. Henry Rollins, everybody. I gotta see that show. I gotta see what that show was like. It seems so interesting. He was a really good storyteller. On my show, you guys gotta look it up. I'll put it on the website, but you guys gotta look it up. This Is Not Happening playlist. And again, new ones are coming soon. Tampa Bay this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Chicago, Thursday after that. What is that one? Come on, get there. 22nd, and then Rosemont the 23rd and 24th, and then Denver the 25th. And then Austin, Texas, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November. Other than that, I'll be in New York working out, getting ready. What was I just going to say? Anyway, he is very cool. What was I going to say? Oh, I don't know. But it was cool getting to do this with him in Edinburgh. Oh, I want to see a show. That's what I want to see. Yeah, I get it. New episodes of my show, and then I did my dates. There, boom. Now I got there. Guys, smoking less pot. My memory is coming back. I feel it. I feel like I've gotten better memory. I mean, I remember all 4 years of my life right now. All that is gold does not glitter. By J.R. Tolkien. For his fantasy novel, The Lord of the Rings, it alludes to an integral part of the plot and describes Aragorn, son of Arathorn. This poem appears twice in The Lord of the Rings, first volume, Fellowship of the Ring. It first appears... Alright, whatever. Is repeated by Bilbo Jackson. Whatever. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king. Oh, his name is Strider. That's who did it. Aragorn, he was Strider. He was the guy who fucking wandered around. That's fucking Scout, doesn't even need an alarm clock. Dude, my memory, that is from the book. That is not from the movie. That is from the book. Even from the movie, it was a long time ago. He doesn't need an alarm clock. He just wakes up. He just knows how to wake up at the right time. That is from the book. That is a fucking Hebrew Academy memory. I was gone there, and the 10th grade was my last year. I was over there. What side? Was that the high school side? I remember where I read that. I used to hold my dumps in because I'd afraid to let them go out. Stain turtle my underwear every time. Yeah, right? Guys, don't forget to use my Amazon link. Do your shopping through that, through the Amazon link on arithegreat.com. And that's where you can see all my dates, too. And get tickets for all my shows. Anyway. Yeah, that was at, wait, where's the high school? I think that was 7th, 8th grade. Because where's 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th? That was 4, 5, 6. No, that was senior. Okay, so that was 9th or 10th grade that I read that. So that's a memory from 9th or 10th grade. Dude. Yeah. Yeah. Older version. Earlier versions of the poem recorded The Treason of Isengard, part of the History of Middle-earth book series by Christopher Tolkien. All that is gold does not glitter, all that is long does not last. All that is gold does not glitter, all that is long does not last. All that is old does not wither, not all that is over is past. Second quatrain was added during the following revision. Not all that have not all that have fallen are vanquished. A king may yet be without crown. A blade that was broken be brandished, and towers that were strong may fall down. That's it. I'm done reading this book, this chapter, this fucking poem. Thank you very much to Henry Rollins for doing that. Man, I want to go to some other places. I want to see some shit. All right, you guys. Let's call it, I think. I don't think I have anything to discuss other than the Fuzzle Muzzle. Oh, yeah. You guys, do you have a dog that's an asshole? Do you have a dog that's an asshole? You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, he's your precious baby, but then when he gets around anyone, he just starts barking and trying to nip and bite at them. Asshole dogs. You know what I'm talking about. Can't you be normal, dog? Dog. Dog. Can't you be normal? You ruin everything, dog. Well, what are your options? Don't take it out ever. Kill it, obviously, by, putting a fucking, like a rope or a belt around his neck and then tying the one end over around a pipe and then pulling? Are you a monster? Or muzzle. You could always do muzzle. But those muzzles look gross. They look terrible. They're all they look like S&M bondage shit. They're scary. You're going to look like Frankendog. Why not get something better looking? Oh, I know. The Fuzzle Muzzle. It's out now, you guys. This is not an advertisement. I just like the product. Get the Fuzzle Muzzle. I don't even have a dog. The Fuzzle Muzzle, it's a cool way, pretty colors. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. Oh, your dog, he looks pettable. He looks totally pettable. Instead of fucking lightning bolts going off behind him, it's clouds coming in with the fucking regular muzzle. The Fuzzle Muzzle. FuzzleMuzzle.com. Order yours today. And by the way, that app I was talking about last week was called Laughable. Laughable. It's pretty cool. What happens is you end up getting someone's podcast and you find out who the guests are from there. Find their podcast. It's a great way to find new podcasts, and it's super easy to go forward and backwards while you're listening. It's a fucking great app. Fuck Steve Jobs' death. Whoever Tim Cook is now. He doesn't do shit. They don't do it good. Their podcast app sucks. That Laughable one's pretty good. Maybe I'll try to put links to that one on my site. So we'll just open up there. But it's only for phones. It's not for computers. Anyway, whatever. But I think you can play on computers too. I don't know. I got to look into it more. That's it, you guys. Back to America.
back to America. I still have another podcast or two from out of the country, but the intros will be in America. I want to be the intro to be in America. 2 countries a year. I got 4 this year. Dublin, excuse me, I'm already sorry. Ireland, I'm already sorry. Ireland, I'm talking about new countries here. Ireland, Norway, Sweden, Iceland. Which one's favorite? Iceland. Stop it. Iceland. I like Norway, though. Well, I don't know. I liked everything. Denmark, too. I love Denmark. And Stockholm was pretty fun. But I just kind of hung out here a little bit. Yoshi helped take me around. Did an open mic. Anyway. All right, you guys. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta leave for the airport in fucking 3 hours. 26-hour flight time. I'll just do all this on the plane. My mouth is so dry. Why would I get peanuts and these fucking polypuffers, but no water? Oh, I know why. Because I said the water was good enough to drink. In Stockholm, I'll run the tap. You guys, thank you for tuning in. I think that's it, right? All right. For Henry Rollins, I'm Ari Shaffir saying so long for Skeptic Tank, episode 277. Not all those who wander are lost. And by the way, thank you for all the people who give Photoshop work so I can put some dumb Photoshop on the website. And on some phones, it goes as a background to the episode. They're just goofy, fun Photoshops. I put it out on Twitter, usually on Sunday, like, hey, who wants to do a Photoshop? Here's what the episode's about. Here's the fucking guests. And they come back. They make me laugh. The ones I use, the ones I don't use. Some of them are, like, ridiculously bad. Those make me laugh. And if that's the only one, I've used those before. That's, like, the only one people submit. But it's just like, I don't know, fucking what comes to mind. People do it. They're funny. I use one of them. I give them credit on Twitter, on my website. And so the guys who throw those in, thank you. Those always make me laugh. And they make the guests laugh too. Fucking what's his name? Loved it. Kai Humphreys. Love the ones he saw. The 2 he saw. He really loved them. All right, you guys. Thank you very much. Skeptic Tank 277. Over and out. Oh, maybe I'll go out with one of the songs he talks about. What was that guy's name? Oh, I had it in there. Suleiman something, right?